fit for reusability? Nope.
Yep, nope, I don't think so.
That would require resizing the tanks and basically a full redesign of the whole vehicle, which isn't worth the time, and that's what Starship is for.
Yep,
Speaking of
exactly.
Starship, that frost line is continuing to rise.
Yeah, it's about
Yeah.
halfway up that access hole there.
And is that a little bit of venting there from near that access hole, or is that just condensation?
It sure looks like a vent. I'm not
It
sure if
looks
there's
like,
even a vent there, but that's interesting.
yeah,
Yeah,
it looks like
neat.
it's coming from there, but it's hard to say. That wouldn't be good if it was coming from there. That wouldn't be good, right?
Don't ask questions like that on stream, Steven. It doesn't go well. uh, yeah, maybe maybe there's a vent there that we're forgetting about, or that's been relocated. Hopefully, it's not coming from the hatch itself. Either way, we will keep an eye on it and
Yeah.
that frost line as things progress.
I'm sure if there was some sort of leak there, they would have stopped the countdown at this point.
Yeah, and we would have seen a depress and all of that.
Yep.
Yep, makes sense. Jim Cabot, thanks for the support. Sneezy Ferret, aw, thank you for the support. They say, good morning. How heavy are the TPS tiles and what are they made from? And what temperatures can they resist? That's a lot of questions. That's 3 questions in one. They're very light. They're extremely light. Think like styrofoam or lighter. Equivalent for the equivalent size, which I think they're either 6x6 or 8x8 inches. I think, and there might be some variation in size as well. But they're extremely light. We don't quite know do we know what they're made from? Like what actual material it is? Because it's not the same as Dragon, which is pica, right? Phenolic impregnated carbon ablator.
Right.
These
Pica
are
X, right?
right. Thank you. These are a different construction, although I don't know off the top of my head what their composition is.
I don't know. I've driven by where they make them, and I can't see anything. I can't tell you what's in there.
They're made of tough rock, which is, I think, sort of a derivative of the shuttle tiles. And again, I could be completely wrong there, but they are made of tough rock. What that is, I'm not entirely sure, but I do know the name.
Sounds tough.
Yes, sir. Almost like rock.
Yeah. Ah.
I'm glad you did it, so I didn't have to. Thank you, Ian.
I'll take
And
the heat.
and I mean, we've never been given a figure on what sort of temperatures they can resist, but suffice to say they can resist the heat of orbital and re-entry.
Yep.
At least that's the hope. Haven't we seen? Oh my gosh! Didn't they affix some tiles to a Falcon 9 second stage or something at one point?
Yep, they fixed tiny tile segments to the side of a Dragon 1 for a
Thank
space
you.
station resupply.
Thank you. So they've studied this material on an actual factual orbital entry through tests like that. So hopefully it works. I,
Yep.
I doubt SpaceX would be this far along unless they were.
Hi chat, real quick. This is Brimo. EJ's on his way home, so that's why I kind of turned the stream on, and that's why it was a little bit janky. But he'll be here in probably, I think he said 10 minutes. So in the meantime, enjoy NSF, I guess.
Vents. What are those
Oh.
called? The bi-vents now, I guess?
I suppose so. And
Yeah.
that would be engine chill, right?
Yep. That's a great sign that we're marching ahead in the countdown.
Excellent.
And look at that condensation coming off the ship itself there. Look at that. That cloud.
That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
That's cool. It's I think it's like the venting getting caught behind it,
Yeah,
aerodynamically.
Yeah, because that's sort of the leeward side based on the direction the wind is going. So it's sort of getting caught in that eddy right there.
Yeah, I think Booster 3 is trying to draft Ship 20. If you're a NASCAR fan.
Poor Booster 3.
It deserved better. And also we have Adrian, Mr. Spreadsheet, in the back channel here, saying that based on the data he's seeing here, his rough prediction, again, this is a very rough prediction, is just after the top of the hour for static fire.
That would be cool.
Yep. So we're coming up very soon on that.
So we should be on the lookout next, or on the listen out, I suppose. Is that something people say for the siren?
Yep.
Which would be the next thing that we're looking for. There's typically a 10-minute siren, although not always, and it's definitely not always exactly 10 minutes.
Right. Sometimes it feels like it's like at T-minus 5 minutes, they're like, oh, we forgot to do the siren.
Yeah, I always imagine there's got to be some amount of delay between when they're told to do the siren and when they do, and it's like, okay, go, 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 go.
Yeah.
But to answer your question there, Gavin, as we wait for a static fire with an unknown number of engines, I don't know. I don't know if there's a way that they can lift Ship 20 off the mount without those crane attachment
I just
points.
messed.
There might be. There
Okay,
might be some
wait.
kind of new cradle that attaches to hard points below the
He's gonna kill me. I
below
messed
the
with
flaps, and
audio.
they can lift it off and
Oh well.
move it over to the orbital side and lift it on top of the booster. But we haven't seen
technically
anything like
on
that
lunch,
yet.
so
I don't
Yeah.
think.
I'll hang out.
Well, the hope
Hi,
is that
Anson, how are
they'll
you?
use the chopsticks to lift it up there, but
How do they
it's
get it
not-
off pad B?
exactly, it's not on a rolling structure. You know, it's stuck there until they can lift it up off of that pad.
Sure enough. Good question,
I'm trying
Kevin.
to hide the mic for you guys.
Another one of those things we'll have to look out for in the new year.
You're tired at work. I bet you're tired.
Marcus Soul, thanks for becoming a Pad Rat member. Thank you to all of our members once again.
Hi, someone.
Oswin Fox says, need to make a checklist for
Alright,
camera
we don't
setup.
need
Thanks
to-
for the support, Oswin. Yeah, checklists are good.
Nobody needs this. I don't want to hear. Well, okay, that's bad. You should go donate to NSF. They're a lovely organization that lets EJ stream all of this. Yay. We'll just turn it on low for now.
Right?
Yep.
Do you want to get your camera set, or do you want to spend time looking at a checklist? But
Right. Yeah.
it's
Personally,
a fair...
I don't do the checklist. I've got friends that do. I'm like, look, I'm gonna have to know all the steps, you know, in my head, and really, you know, once you know it, you know, it's not that difficult. It's, you know, there are a lot of steps, but it's not that difficult. I can usually remember all the steps. It's because most of those steps are done before even getting out to the pad. You know, you
Yep.
plug in your sound trigger and you know, mount it inside your box and on your tripod and everything, and, you know, and then you just get out there and frame your shot and make sure to set your settings. That's number one.
My thing that I do now is I take a picture of the settings with my phone as
I have
I'm
a dumb
wrapping up
question,
each setup.
chat.
That way,
How do we not know
one,
the
I can
number of...
know,
well,
you know, for
I was
future
gonna say, how do you not know the number of Raptor
data
engines?
purposes,
But I
like,
guess
if the shot
you
went
can't
wrong
see
or if it
underneath
doesn't look just
there's
right,
no
I'm
way
like,
for you to know.
I know what I did. I don't have to necessarily depend on metadata. Or if I'm, you know, just in the time between camera setup and launch, if I'm sitting there sweating like, oh God, did I do it right? I can go back and look at the picture and be like, okay, I did it right.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah.
And that's like part of the process. Like the
Sorry to interrupt, Jack, but we just
No,
had
please.
Mary say siren.
Ah,
Yes.
got it, Thomas.
All right.
So Mary has heard the siren, which
Siren!
means we're about 10 minutes away.
Dude,
Now,
you're just gonna
again,
get
that
here
siren
just
is
in
not-
time.
They don't look at a stopwatch and go, okay, 10 minutes away, boom, start.
Yeah.
It's approximately. So we've seen it, I think, as close as like 6 minutes away, but also as far as like 12 minutes.
Don't
so
say that. I
we're
want
getting
EJ to
close.
be
That's a very
here.
good sign.
Yeah. It's not tied into the countdown.
Yep.
It's somebody pushing
EJ,
the
you
button
sound
for
different
the
to us 'cause
siren
I'm
inside
Remo.
their police vehicle.
How much does a substitute
And
streamer
also,
make?
Adrian
Zero.
did mention again in the back channel that with the camera view that we just saw from South Beach,
I don't know. We'll see,
we are gonna get a
Hyper.
good
He should
view
make
of the
it.
deluge, the water
He
deluge
should.
starting up.
It's
and
gonna be
that,
dependent
again,
on
is a great
Boston
sign. We're
traffic,
about
which is never a good
30
thing to
seconds
depend
to a
on.
minute away from static fire. So again, be looking at the base of the pad to see the water deluge system start up.
Oh, hi!
Hello.
You're EJ.
Yep.
And we're seeing some.
I think I
puffing
found him,
there
chat.
on the-
I think
don't
he's
know, I don't
here.
even know. Do we call it the bi event? Because
Oh,
it's
he
not
left
the tri
again.
event anymore. There's not two. There's
Go
not three of them.
throttle
There's two of them.
Right. Yeah. I've still heard people call it the tri-vent just because that's kind of historically what we called it. But
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right.
Discovery,
There's
go and
not three
throttle
of them
up.
because
Yeah, substitute streamers
you
make
know,
pizza
if
and
it's
donuts. That's right.
Symmetry, then the third one would
Does
be
the siren happen
right
yet?
behind
Yep,
the
it just
dial on the
happened.
Discovery,
port
Oh,
go
side.
and throttle up.
Sure enough,
Yep.
and there's no
Okay,
longer
cool.
even three
Swap out.
engines
Do you need me to make
on
you
the-
coffee?
I
on the
do.
vehicle.
Okay.
There's 6.
Thank you.
So I mean, I remember back
You're
when we were calling it the
amazing.
tri-vent, there was 3 actual vents.
Oh, is that
We
what it...
sort of correlated 3
Oh!
engines, 3 vents. It's a simpler
I'm a big dumb
prototype,
dummy.
but we knew that at a certain point they're going to have
Alright.
to do some sort of rerouting.
Thank
We
you, baby. I
expected
love you.
Or that
Oh, they're
means
gonna have
no
a
problem.
manifold or this or that. So Now it's just a
Chat.
buy vent. I think it makes more sense just to call it the engine chill vent at
Hello.
this point.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And look at those vents pulsing, which is, they're pulsing as we talk about them. It's like, hello, hi vents.
Okay.
The vehicle's coming to life, and that's just really cool to see.
Okay. Camera. All right.
And we'll
Hi.
be sure to shut our yaps when we see fire, so we can get sound from the event without us talking over it.
Hi.
He says,
been a
knowing
fun
he
day.
has in the past accidentally talked over it.
Nah, I wasn't sleeping, Gerardo. I've been up
Something
since
about
9.
computer issues or something. I remember.
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay. Well, you sure did then.
Is everything okay? Yeah. I'll tell you what happened a little bit later. But we got the siren, which means we're inside of 10 minutes. So, yeah. I didn't think the road closure would have happened so soon today, but here we are.
I tried to make you coffee, but I can't reach the Keurig box over the fridge.
What we do, hit that.
Don't worry about it.
It'll
Siren's
help
on.
the computer algorithm stuff.
I'll get it
know
later.
That you like our feed and surface more content
So-
that we make for you.
So what we're looking at here, this is NSF's NASA Space Flight's live cast of the SN20 static fire. So what you see that right there is ship serial number 20. SN20 is supposedly the first orbital prototype for SpaceX here.
See, the problem with doing super chats though is all these are really good questions.
And
Like,
let me look.
do they need to do the PEA, the environmental assessment? Does that need to be finished for them to static fire a
Yeah, I
booster?
think it does, right?
Do we think they'll do a subset of the 29 engines?
Shut up, Hellfish.
And did we see the
Bass,
arm
what's
wiggle
going on?
test? Yeah, we saw the arm wiggle test. That was a hoot.
No, it's okay. It's okay,
No
drummer. Don't worry
raising
about
and
it.
lowering of those.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you guys what I was up to. So the siren usually indicates that we're 10 minutes out from a static fire here. I'm not sure if this is going to be a 6-engine static fire, but we'll see. The tri-vents are on. Well, it's not. Well, it's kind of a tri-vent. Yeah, that's just kind of the name that's stuck. They ain't tri-vents anymore. These vents right here indicate that there's propellant in the engines. When these vents are on and working, so 1, 2, 3, and I think there's another one over there, particularly this one. That means they're trickling propellant into the engines. So that means that the engines are being thermally conditioned for firing, which is a good thing. That basically is them priming the vehicle. He's buying a flatbed F-350. Tri-vent, they vent. He, she, they vent.
Just means they got a lot of confidence.
You can also... Hey, robot, привет, как дела? Добрый вечер. So also you can tell that this thing has oxygen in it because of the ring right there. There's liquid oxygen inside of this. The methane tank up here usually doesn't frost at all, but down here it frosts for whatever reason. What did you think? What did you think? I didn't know how to say that? Come on, man.
Even with 29, I really don't know. But
What gases are venting? That's gaseous oxygen, security. Thanks, good.
that shuttle with its 2 solids, those solids are very, very loud.
Good. Good. Hey, Phil, what's going on?
Discovery,
Doom.
go at throttle up.
63 monta. Thanks, man.
Yeah,
So that's Jack.
That's a
Jack
good
Byer.
question. I think it's
this
gonna
is
be
Ian
very
Atkinson's
loud for
here.
sure.
They're writers for NASA Spaceflight.
but again, the thing is decibels.
We know Ian. Ian and Jack are cool. Hey, Astronauta.
Go up logarithmically, not linearly.
Why are we watching a silo
That's
vape?
a complicated-
Because the silo is about to blow some fire here. See, okay, we got some outgassing coming from the bottom. This is all gaseous oxygen here, guys. You also know that I mean, I wasn't here for this part, but see this thing over here? That's a recondenser. That's a methane recondenser. So what they're doing is they're scavenging the evaporated methane in the pipes that go to the pad. That means, long story short, if this thing is going, that means they're pumping fuel into the rocket. And if these vents are going, that means fuel, or they're pumping fuel in the pipes to the rocket. And if that vent's going, that means they're pumping fuel into the rocket. Fuel's pumped in via an umbilical right here that's on the aft dorsal part of the ship. Right here. So this is the belly right here. Dorsal, as opposed to the ventral side. The ventral side of the ship, or the windward side, is tiles, thermal protection systems. Supposedly, this Starship is going to fly into space, which is pretty insane to think about. But before you do that, you got to do some engine tests.
We're really looking forward.
Elon
to
Musk? I'm not Elon Musk, but that's Elon Musk's ship right there.
Could just be
How do they light the engines? Well, Singularity, you basically got to turn on the pumps first. Yurovich, 33 months. Black Horse down, 6 months. Oh, look, monthly Prime sub. Boom. After static fire, can you talk about this? I didn't know we had an Angara failure. I talked about it yesterday. The Angara second stage failed to relight, the Perseus upper stage.
Outside of the pad, or around the inside.
See security lives first.
We'll see those
I did, and I answered it. Did I not?
Down to help reduce the sound.
What
and,
gases are venting?
To also reduce
Yeah,
fires.
it's gaseous oxygen. And you got gifted a sub. All
That'll
right.
start up around
Heck yeah.
30 seconds to a minute before static fire.
Yeah, I know we said fire good.
This is
earlier,
gaseous
but in some
oxygen.
cases, fire bad.
Even the recondenser uses I think it's liquid nitrogen closed loop to recondense the methane, but I'm not 100% sure on that. All right, so this
It's like I
test
don't even want to talk at this point.
this test should be happening like now. These side vents right there, right there.
Darwin, thank you for the support.
Hang on. Yeah, I'm gonna shut up, guys.
Koa, thanks for becoming a red team member.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Aaron, thank you for the support. Rich F, thank you. They're asking if there's a plan for static fire of Booster 4. I mean, surely there's a plan. We don't know what it is yet. Will it fire on the orbital launch mount? Yes, that's the plan. I think that's one thing we can say safely.
Thank you. Any minute now.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
I do mock, yeah. 2 more months of no hop. Yeah. Be very, very quiet. We're watching grain silos.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Ooh, Chem, that's no good, man. Yeah, me too, Dish. That'd be fun to hear.
And we should be getting very close to static fire here. We'll see those, the vents puffing. As they puff, that means we're getting closer and closer to ignition.
They want to make sure that they have the engines thermally conditioned correctly. They need to be at a certain temperature in order to fire correctly.
Any moment now.
If they're too warm,
Yep.
you'll hard start the engine and the thing blows up. Yeah, that's what happened to serial
And
number
also,
11.
we don't have access to the actual countdown of Starship, so there could have been holes along the way. They could be in a hold right now. They could have scrubbed the test. But at any moment now, it looks like we should be seeing a static fire.
Adrian pointing out in the back channel that we are now 10 minutes after the siren.
And again, we could have seen and we could be in a hold right now.
No,
They have installed
isn't it?
some new hardware onto the ship. Maybe they're testing some new software, and you want to make sure you have everything right, especially when you have a major test like this, because if you have something go wrong, you could lose your vehicle.
Condensers
So
off.
if there's anything that looks a little off, there's no shame, there's no problem in holding it. That may be what we're seeing right now.
They shut the condenser off, which means fuel is not flowing in the lines to the ship, which means when you cut the fuel lines like that, that's
There's
when you
deluge.
fire. You don't.
There is deluge.
See? You don't fire
About 30 seconds.
with the fuel lines, with fuel in the fuel
Beautiful.
lines, right? Here we go. Sound suppression system is on. No more talkie from me.
Well, that looked fantastic.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, we had a
Cool.
great view there. I believe that was Mary's angle there that we were watching, right?
Yep.
Somewhere, Das just went, no! no, no! Somewhere. Hey, Canuck, thanks for the bits. Josh just went, no! No! Okay, so that looked pretty good. Engine start looked really good. I don't. It looked good, but guys, looks means nothing because from this far away, we really can't see anything. It's the sound.
That static fire line.
It's the sound that really listen. Like you can tell a rocket engine is healthy, and you can tell when it's not healthy. It's really easy to spot because I mean, dude, I've been doing this for years, watching all kinds of static fire tests. It's really easy to see. If you're close, you can see if a rocket engine's doing something bad. We're too far away to be able to see it, and the engines are covered. They're covered in the aft skirt of Starship. The sound is a very good indicator whether it's doing okay. We didn't have any sound that time, so I don't know. It looked okay.
Oh, what a gorgeous shot.
This has sound. All right, let me see. Wow. Let's see. So
that was definitely beyond just a engine ignition crash. We've seen a bunch of those on
Go to throttle up. What's up, Firebird?
Were just a little bit of methane, and at least that
let me back it
just
up.
more up. Correct.
I'm scrubbing through Lab Pod right here. Alright. Let me listen. That sounded fine. Yeah, sounded real good. Here, let's listen again. The audio's kind of scratchy, but... sounded real good. Sounded real good. Yep, SpaceX's drone is up, just flying around.
There was audio, which certainly will be used in the daily.
Well, the sound tell you if it's eating a copper alive. So, all right. I mean, I don't know if you can hear that happening, Flykin, but with a rocket engine that's performing fine, it should just be one constant kind of staticky noise, like. If you hear it like, if you hear buffeting or anything, that means something's going wrong. It should just be one constant, steady noise, like. Picture in your mind like a fire hose going off. Like you just hear the shh of the water going out, like from a hose. You know the hose is working correctly, right? Because it's just a constant sound. Well, I mean, all this is just a fire hose. Seriously, it's just fire hoses going into a big combustion chamber. Fire hoses, right? So you want to hear nice steady sound, just like a car engine. You want to hear right? It has to be. If the car engine's going up, like the old cartoons, right? Like you know it's not good. you can hear. You can hear if it's going bad or not. And another key distinct thing to hear is the honk at the end. Yes, it makes that noise. I'm serious. You heard it. The honk noise. It sounds like a goose. You hear that at the end. That's indication of a good shutdown because that what you're hearing there is them cutting the line, shutting the lines like. Honk. You're hearing them shutting the taps. And the reason why you hear that at all is because they cut the taps and then the rocket engine goes down, right? It makes a honk noise. So once again, you could tell. I could usually tell from the sound if it's good. From Lab Padre's audio, that sounded fine. It sounded okay. There was some tiles that did fall off. That does happen. Goose is good. Shutdowns, got it. I'm serious. Like. It's very easy to spot whether it's going right or not. That's a lot of birds. Holy crap. Okay, there's just more. All right, just more birds.
You couldn't have said that at a better time.
Wow.
The turbo pumps blow down for a fraction of a second. There you go, Prey. That was a lot of birds. Did you see that? Boca Chica Air Force is out in full force today. I wish I was a bird. But Prey, it's honestly like being around car engines and stuff a lot, and you know watching a lot of rocket engines. You can tell just by the pitch. You'll know if an engine is doing right, if it's going right. The pitch will be nice and steady. You'll hear just. It'll literally sound like one of those videos where they have the bass boosted, like. It'll sound like that, just nice and steady pitch. Did you say that destroyed engine 11 because they didn't have the right temperature or an improper start? So that's hard starting an engine, Sawakovsky? That's hard starting an engine. Hard starting an engine is like the equivalent of putting your foot to the floor with the gas pedal and then starting the car. It might be fine, but it's probably not going to be fine. You know, the engine goes right from 0 to yeet real fast. That rocket engines can do that. Yeah. Yeah. If you don't have stuff and it has to do with thermal conditioning and a bunch of other things. There's a bunch of things that can cause a hard start. You could have a leak in your LOX line. That can hard start stuff.
Like a very energetic.
Yeah, let's
All
do
right,
that.
sound replay.
I
Let's
love
go.
it.
And actually, Mary already. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
It looked like all 6.
So we've got the replay on the
Jim?
left, live on the right. Love it.
Cool.
Very cool.
And yeah, it looked like a very energetic and very quick dust cloud, which
Yeah,
kind
it
of
cleared
lines up.
quickly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Looked like a very clean firing.
Yeah.
No like residual fires that we've seen sometimes.
Excuse me. One
Looked
sound.
very quick too.
Excuse me.
Here's another replay, different angle.
I don't know what Ian meant by that. I don't know, drummer. I'd have to ask Das. Game over. Elon's new Raptor engine has silent mode, gone orbital. Jeff Bezos is dead. How will he ever recover? Singularity, I swear. Those are getting
You can actually
worse
do
and
some
worse.
tile comparisons here.
They're
with,
getting worse and worse.
preview. Not
SpaceX
great,
Starship
but it's a lot
test.
better
Game over. Gone orbital.
on the initial
with
static
White Claw.
fire, so that's a lot of good progress there.
Yeah, Sawakovsky. Raptor starts by... Prey has the better technical definition because he deals with this stuff. Not Raptors, but that stuff. Raptor starts up by injecting liquid oxygen first, then introducing methane gradually over a fraction of a second. If too much methane is introduced too fast, you can get detonation versus stable combustion. Same thing happens if you start a car with your foot to the floor on the gas pedal. Your AFR is going to get all screwed up and the engine explodes. That's also the reason why you wait till the engine warms up.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Hey, Roki gifted a sub to Prey, thank you. If the methane valve was too warm or too cold, depending on how they designed it, it can impact how it actuates and controls flow rate. Yeah, and if you screw up your flow rate with a car, you blow a head gasket. Or if you screw up your fuel to oxidizer ratio with a car, you'll end up blowing a head gasket, or you'll end up just shooting unburnt fuel out the exhaust pipe, depending if you're going lean or rich. If you lean out a car engine, it explodes. It'll melt. It gets too hot. Same with the rocket engine. It'll melt itself from the inside out. Engines doing dragster quarter miles are a thing to behold. They do blow up once in a while. Yeah, Kyron, and when they do, catastrophic failure. My last link shows the hard start of a Methalox engine. Yeah, I've seen that before, Thomas. What would be the equivalent of a cold start in a rocket? Hard starting a rocket engine and cold starting a car engine are very similar, Baz. You're running the risk of breaking something. Lean is mean. Come on now. Yeah. Scientists hate him. Here, NSF didn't have any audio, but I'll show you guys the replay. Here. Check it out. That looked good. Here, let me watch this in slow-mo. Yeah, Moshnak. Yeah, no problem, dude. Here, let me see. So the first thing you're gonna see is what Prey said. There's the locks coming down. 1, 2. I saw 2. Hold on. Let me back it up one more time. Back it up just a little bit. Okay. Let's look. You'll see the locks come down. It should start right around here. Yeah, well, if SN11 is any indicator, pray, yeah. Hey, Mosnak gifted 5. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I hope you have a good new year. Thanks, buddy. All right, pray, let's take a look. Let's see what we can see. Happy holidays, boss. Hey, you too, man. You too. Cheers. Okay. I have this in, like, super slow. Super slow motion. Drummer's always here. I like in cold starting a rocket to coasting in a carb. Alright. Oh, I missed it. Sorry. I missed it. Okay. Okay, so ready? 1, 2, 3. 3 engine ignition. That was just 3 motors. That was just 3. That was just the three atmospheric engines. That wasn't a 6-engine fire. I'm pretty damn sure. So like Prey was saying, you could see that they spray locks first. So the locks, gaseous oxygen comes out the bottom first. The reason why it's gaseous is because that liquid oxygen is going into the rocket engine, and there's obviously no liquid inside of the combustion chamber of the rocket engine because it's off. So that first liquid oxygen hits the nozzle and it evaporates instantly. And that's why you get gaseous locks coming out. Alright, so there's 1 engine ignition. 2 engine ignition. And then it stops for like a split second. And then the third one goes off right when the other ones go. And see how it's kind of bright for a second? That's 2 engines. And then it gets really bright, 3 engines. That was a 3-engine ignition. What you saw right here is called a sequenced ignition. Rocket engines vibrate a lot. A lot. There's a lot of adverse vibrations that come from a rocket engine. A lot of resonant stuff going on here. So what a lot of rockets do to prevent too much of a delta in compression load on the vehicle, amongst other things, is they fire 1, 2, 3 really fast. 1 engine, 2 engine, 3 engine. I mean, keep in mind, we're scrubbing through the frames really quickly here, right? It looks like 6. Yeah, this angle looks like 3. But yeah, it could have been 6. I just don't know. I don't see. Yeah, I suppose this is a tough angle. Any tiles fall off? Some did, yeah. Car question, are normal head gaskets better, or are those liquid silicone or whatever gaskets better? Application-based, like in different engines, like different things. So, this is called a sequenced ignition. You fire 1 engine, 2 engine, 3 engine really fast, so you don't basically bop the bottom of the vehicle. Every rocket does this. Any rocket that has multiple engines does this. The Saturn V did it. The Space Shuttle does it. Falcon Heavy does it. SLS will do it. Even the 3 Space Shuttle main engines, they fire 1, 2, 3. You don't light all your engines at once because that would basically be like tapping the bottom of the rocket. I don't think I need to tell you why that's not a good idea. It is a fuel tank after all. Most of the vehicle, you don't want to do the equivalent of putting a hole punch in the bottom of the vehicle. So they sequence the ignition right there. So once again, let's take a look. 1 engine on. 2 engines on, 3 engines on. It looks like 3 to me, Thomas. It's pulling a cart. What? It's pulling a cart. Oh my goodness. Falcon Heavy had a very complicated ignition sequence. They fire the outer boosters first. At least this is how it was done on the test flight. They fired the outer boosters first. So you have your 3 boosters, right? So you have 1, 2, and 3. They started at the innermost engines first, and went around in a circle, then fired the center ones, and then on the center core, they went around in a circle and fired the center one. This all happens like within a couple of seconds. Like if you want to see how quick this actually happens, these sequenced ignitions, take a look. I'll just put us on real time. Watch how quickly it happens. See? It's impossible to see it unless you slow it down. But they do sequence ignition like that. It looked like 6 from Lab Padre. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. I'm seeing distinct 3 ignition here. Yeah, it's possible, Thomas, but it really looks like 3, unless SpaceX is firing 1 vac, 1 sea level, and then 1 vac, 1 sea level, and then 1 vac, 1 sea level. I mean, they could be doing that. It's possible. They could be firing in pairs. I've never really, I mean, they, like I said, they did that on Falcon Heavy. They went 1, 1, 2, and then the center booster. So they could be firing in pairs. They did that on Falcon Heavy. That's possible. But once again, you're going to fire, you don't want to fire all the engines at once. You fire all the engines at once, you're going to put compression shock load. So what's compression shock load? Okay, think about 2 cars, right? If they drive up next to each other, right? And they touch bumpers, and then both of the cars step on the gas, right? The cars will just sit there and you'll do a burnout, right? The tires screw, like remember the Cybertruck and the F-150? Where the Cybertruck pulls the F-150 down the road? Like that. Now imagine 2 cars hitting each other at 60 miles an hour. That's compression shock load. The wheels aren't going to burn out then. You're gonna beam in G yourself and the car parts will fly everywhere. Starting your rocket engines all at once is the equivalent of a head-on collision for the back of the rocket. You don't want to do that. You want to fire 1, 2, and 3, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 in this particular case. It could be either one. I'm not sure. But yeah, that's what compression load is. The rocket engines have so much force, especially these Raptor engines, that if you fired all 3 of them at once, it would be enough. It would be like a Mack truck hitting the back of the rocket. Don't want to do that. That is not good for it. So it looks like we had 3. Now keep in mind, we had 3 ignitions. There were 3 distinct ignitions, but it could have been pairs, so they could have fired 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6. Oh, there's the depress. So what are they doing here? Methane tank vent. So that's gaseous methane vent. That's the gaseous oxygen vent. What they're doing now is they're bringing the tanks down from flight pressure. This is usually indicative of them ending the test. Was there ever a rocket that fired all the engines at once? Yeah, it ended up in pieces, T-Man. Yeah, exactly, Sebia. I mean, I was there. Yep. Yeah, Panta, people are into it. Hey, Devout, what's going on? Probably didn't last very long if it did. I mean, T-Man, the way I look at it this way, I can't cite a specific example for when that happened, but I'll bet you that problem probably manifested itself somewhere on a test stand. And I'll bet you it was probably during the Apollo program. I'll bet you they figured out how to do a sequence ignition from the Apollo program because those Saturn V motors, 1.5 million pounds of thrust per engine. So think about that. You fire 5 of them all at the same time, you're shock loading the bottom of the booster. That would be like dropping a 7.5 million pound weight onto the rocket at liftoff. Like dropping it and boom, it hits it. Not going to end well. I'll bet you that's where they figured that out, but I could be pulling that out of my tail. $10.69 had too much to drink. Is it leaning? Oh. Oh, geez. Rough seas, huh? Yeah, exactly, Prey. That's from the overpressure event, right? The overpressure event where for a split second the combustion chamber is the throat is going to compress the combusted fuel, the combusted propellants, and also the ambient pressure that's there. Basically, a rocket engine shoots a lot of gas out all at the same time, and you get compression in there. It's gonna have to move that air out of the way so the rocket can fire, right? And in that split second when an engine turns on, it's going to compress the air around it like a thermobaric a thermobaric munition, and you're going to get an overpressure event. That sounds about right. Not just leaning, also way back. Shock loading is also an issue with race engines. It's how they can bend connecting rods. Yep. So they don't procedurally throttle them up. They're just 100% from the start. Yep. Yeah, City. Rocket engines are typically hard to throttle. Ares 1 lit all of its engines at once. Thanks for contributing nothing to this conversation, Tessa. I appreciate it. Is the recondenser back on? No. Let me see. Oh, yeah, she's leaning. Something happened with that thing. That looks like rough seas, Sebi, because that thing landed just fine. It was dead center almost. Yeah, City Robo, you don't... Once you get past that overpressure event, dude, you don't need to... Actually, yeah, you don't need to gradually throttle it up. Most rocket engines they fire off at 100% and then throttle to where they need to go. Yeah, that's how the shuttle engines did it. The recondenser is back on. Hang on, my chat just took a dookie.
Where's in the...
Okay. T-Last Plus, I also meant to ask whether they'd be staged in space, and if so, what effect the offset thrust would have. It's like a split second, Hokey. Starship's attitude control system should be able to compensate. Yeah, it'll be just fine. Are they firing all the engines? Xeon, I'm not sure. I saw 3 distinct staging ignitions, which means 2 things. 1, they're firing 3 engines. 2, they're firing 6. So they either fired like 1 sea level and 1 vacuum, then fired another sea level and another vacuum, then fired another sea level and another vacuum, or they just fired the 3 center engines. There was definitely a staged ignition, but I don't know if it was 3 or 6. They could have been firing in pairs. That's fine. You could do that. Suppose you saw that Merc started up next year's car already. Oh, I thought you were talking about something different, Tessa. Yeah. I haven't seen it, but I somebody told me about it yesterday, dude. I don't know if it was you. I forget. I mean, Hokey, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, man. Dude, I can't, like, I'll be honest. I'd have to go look to see if the J2s were sequenced. Because, okay, the Saturn V second stage has 5 engines, right? It has 5 J2s. So if you're going to run a sequenced ignition, what do? You fire the center engine first. And then, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That would give you nice uniform thrust. But, yeah, I don't know. And at most, that would just cause a little bit of a nominal drift inside of the track. That's fine. But I'm not sure about Starship, dude. Who knows? I don't know what that sequenced ignition is going to look like. I had assumed that they probably want to sequence it because you don't... I mean, physics still applies up there. You're still applying an incredible load really fast. But I'm not sure if you have an overpressure event up there because there's literally no pressure. So it might be okay. Don't know. Oh, yeah, Hellfish. I saw that. Just got dressed to go to the SAC Aerospace Museum today, Strategic Air Command, and they're closed, and it's the only day they're closed for the year. Oh no, Corn, that sucks. What's that, Panta? We're on step 4. Yep, the DAT, or the DTA has to, on James Webb is the next step. The sun shields are down, which is huge. That's a big deal. Yeah, Hellfish, I suppose you don't have to do a staged ignition up there. I'd still be worried about compression load, but I don't know. I was also curious on if they're planning on using sea level Raptors in space, or if they're just using them for landing. You'd want the TWR. You'd want the thrust to weight. TWR means more payload to low Earth orbit at the expense of spacecraft range. So, If you have a higher TWR, it's not the most efficient way to get into space, but you could just yeet anything up there. Hokie, my guess is that all the engines are going to fire. Because, okay, so here's another thing I've been thinking about. Remember how Peter Beck in the Neutron presentation the other day was saying that the engines are underperforming all the time and that makes them last longer? Well, Super Heavy is going to have over 50 meganewtons of thrust. 50 meganewtons of thrust. That is 15 million pounds of thrust, almost. It's close. Actually, it's closer to 14 million. 14 million pounds of thrust. 50,000 kilonewtons. 50,000 rockets used to live here. Now it's a ghost town. That's way, way more than you will ever need. I don't think that's an accident. I think SpaceX put a bunch of engines at the bottom of that thing to basically, yeah, it's complicated, right? But if you lose 1, 2, 3, dude, they could lose 10 engines and it'll still make it into space. It has like 2 times the amount of thrust that you would need. It has double the thrust of the Saturn V. I don't think that's an accident. And having 6 engines on Starship, same thing. I don't think it's an accident at all. And I think they'd be firing those sea-level engines because they're gimbaled and the vacuum engines aren't. You could use differential thrust if you really wanted to, but I would be firing those sea-level engines. Heck, having the sea-level engines firing inside of the cone, so to speak, of the vacuum engine. So you have your 6 engines on the outside and then the 3 in the center. That'll actually make them more efficient. You get a little bit of an aerospike effect going on there. Hey, X, what's going on? So, the other, yeah, exactly, Zero. Fully reusable. We might as well load them up. So the other thing that I'm thinking is, adding more engines reduces stress and increases TWR if you need it. Because, once again, you have to be able to throw whatever you want in this thing. This has to literally be like an airplane. Now, okay, how do you load cargo into an airplane? Well, first of all, you got to balance it. Telling me that they're going to have a configurable payload bay, right? Because you got to balance things, right? Like an airplane, or anybody. If there's anybody here that's a load master on an airplane, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So you have to have a modular payload bay where you can move stuff forward and back to compensate. And second of all, that's pretty much it. All you got to do is just balance your cargo correctly, and you can put whatever the frick you want in there. Like a C-17, or like a C-5, or an Antonov 124, or an Antonov 225. You can put whatever you want in there. Anything that can fit should be able to fly in there. I mean, a C-5 can move 2 Abrams tanks in the payload bay, 1 on each side, balanced out completely so your center of mass is lined up with your center of lift. Now, Starship needs that for when it's coming in and doing its flip. It needs to have the center of mass in the right spot, but because it has those flappy wings, it can compensate for a differential center of mass, i.e. center of mass of the vehicle versus center of mass of the payload. The further those two are apart from each other, the more wing you're going to need because the payload is going to have more moment over the vehicle. So long story short, dude, I think they're adding engines, and I think they will fire the sea-level engines twofold. 1, not put as much stress on the engines. 2, be able to put whatever the frick you want in that payload bay and be 100% sure that it makes it into space. Just like on a 747, you can load it up with a bunch of hot dogs in the cargo bay. As long as it's balanced, you'll be fine. You could load it up with cars. You could load it up with a goddamn hot dog. You could load it up with, you could put whatever you wanted. You could put a space shuttle on the top of the thing. If it's balanced, it'll fly. Badly, but it'll fly. So, I think the 6 engines, I think they will fire all the engines to not put them through as much of a load cycle or as much of a duty cycle. And I think they're there to be able to get whatever the frick you want into space. Do I look like I know what a JPEG is, boy? I just want a picture of a goddamn hot dog. He said duty. If you're putting 29 and it's not getting more complicated with a little more. Indeed, Endo. Yeah, that's not you're not wrong. When does the Lego James Webb Telescope come out? I don't know. But does it have to do the same flip when landing on Mars? Yeah. Yeah, Katenja, you're going to want to use... with the way that Starship wants to fly, so from what I understand, from what I've read, dude, I'm a SpaceX junkie, man. I read way too much about this. From what I understand, they want to send Starships on what's called a TMI. Too much information. No, it's a Trans-Martian Injection Burn. Trans-Martian Injection Burn is basically a similar trajectory to what the Curiosity and Perseverance rovers took. Basically, where you hit Mars's atmosphere. Mars does have an atmosphere. It's just like 1/32 of Earth's atmosphere. But it's still there. There's still gases floating around Mars. It's just gas. One, it's not oxygen. There's maybe a little bit. It's CO2 and a couple of other things. It's not a lot, but there is still gases around there. And if there's gases floating around the planet, if there's an atmosphere, you can use it to slow down. And that means you don't need to use fuel on the vehicle to slow down. It's more efficient. That's why Curiosity has a heat shield and a parachute. Because hitting Mars's small atmosphere coming from Earth basically is very similar to hitting Earth's atmosphere from orbit. Right? So when you're going on that Trans-Martian Injection Burn, you're coming in with a lot of speed. The speeds involved when you hit Mars's atmosphere from a TMI burn are very similar to the atmospheric conditions that you get from re-entering on from low Earth orbit. So like where a Dragon capsule would come back down. They're very similar. Now, even though the atmospheric density is completely different, the speed is the difference here. You're hitting Mars's atmosphere going way faster than you would coming back from low Earth orbit. Simultaneously, if you're coming back from the moon and hitting Earth's atmosphere, you're going to get hotter than everything. You're going to get hotter than all these things. Because you're going to hit the atmosphere going 25,000 miles an hour. That's why Apollo had to skip off the atmosphere to control heating, so you don't burn through the heat shield and you don't liquefy the astronauts. So because Starship is going to take that type of trajectory where it's using atmospheric conditions on Mars to perturb the vehicle, basically slow down because it's hitting the atmosphere, right? And it's causing drag, it will do a flip maneuver like that. It will do that on Mars, yeah. Or at least it should. If it works. How's the test? Everything looked good, Chief. How are you? Hey, animal. But maybe I like my astronaut smoothies cooked. Yeah, whatever you do, just wash your hands. Okay? Are those white specks at the top missing tiles? That's what it looks like. A couple did pop off. Liquid astronauts equals bad. Securing cargo for a flip and burn sounds like a pain. Why? Doom, that's one of the reasons why I said that Starship is going to have a shuttle-style payload bay in it. It's not going to have that chomper fairing. And everybody's like, yeah, okay, EJ. No, it doesn't make sense. It'll be much easier to balance the cargo if you had payload bay doors that started here and go here and they open up, because that means you can move stuff up and down easily on the ground inside of the payload bay. All you do is need a scissor lift, and then you need a couple of latches like those warehouse shelves that you can just kind of lock the shelves into, and you can just configure the shelves however you want. Literally that, but inside of the payload bay. That's very similar to how the shuttle worked, because the shuttle had very similar payload integration requirements as Starship. Some payloads that flew on the shuttle required the shuttle to be vertical when they installed the payload. That mirrors Starship's, or what Starship's integration would be, almost exactly. Might as well have a Canadarm. They could put it in there. Doors that open up like this, not like this, and like this. Okay? Like this. And like this! Not like this! Elon's part of the Thrace Comas Club. Just saying. Fly Nick, 35-month resub. Thank you. Seems to me that the drop tiles are a huge red flag. Why do you think they're testing it, chum? Guys, look, these tests are great. These tests are great for testing the engines. It's good for firing the engines. You get good data. But all these Raptor engines that go on this Starship were already tested at McGregor. They were already tested in Texas prior. They're just testing them on the Starship. But chum, I firmly believe that SpaceX, all the testing in the last 6 months has been entirely around two things. When it comes to Starship, It's testing those damn tiles, making sure those don't fall off.
Discovery, go and throttle up.
I don't think I need to say why past endeavors with tiles haven't ended well. Technically, it's reinforced carbon-carbon, but whatever. I don't think I need to tell you why tiles in the past have proven to be a costly thing, right? And two, the second thing that they're most focused on is Raptor stuff. So this kills two birds with one stone. You get your Raptor testing, right? And you get your tile testing too. When SpaceX picked up Ship 20 and put it on Booster 4, like 4 or 5 months ago, that was entirely to test how the tiles like being picked up. Yeah, because think about it. When you pick up a vehicle that big, right, you're going to stretch the vehicle under the force of gravity. The whole ship will be under tension, and tiles did pop off when they did that. This entire Starship testing campaign for the last 6 months has been making sure that the tiles don't pop off when you go to do stuff. Hey, Shady, 24 months. Thanks, man. We get to test engines and glue for tiles. Well, bolts. They're mechanically adhered. It's right on the edge. Oof. Sebby, that's crazy. Why not doors that hover off of it using nanobots? I mean, maybe. Someday. That'd be kind of cool. Obviously, I guess you couldn't screw them on because screws would add a crap ton of weight. Well, Procyon, if your vehicle can move 100 tons into space, I don't think a couple of extra screws is going to make that big of a difference. That's the other reason. Elon's, like, this is not some revelation. If you watch anything with Elon Musk, his interview with the Babylon Bee, he did a Lex Friedman interview, which I fell asleep to last night. I didn't get to watch the whole damn thing. He's talked about how scale with rockets is what's going to win. Because the computers that control a Falcon 9 and the computers that control Starship doesn't need a bigger computer. It doesn't need a bigger computer. Same computer that can run Falcon 9 can run this thing. No problem. Well, it's not no problem. It's always more complicated than what it seems. It's rocket engineering. It's a pain in the butt. But if you... He said but. If you have a ship that's... If you have a ship where a computer takes up 2% of this total ship mass, right? And then you scale the ship up and now your computer size stays the same. Now your computer takes up like 0.5% of the total mass, right? That's actually more efficient. That gives you a better mass fraction. What's mass fraction? Mass fraction is the name of the game when it comes to spaceflight. This has to do a lot with the delta V equation, so Tsiolkovsky's rocket equation, or the ideal rocket equation, which denotes how far a spacecraft can fly into space. And it's entirely based off of speed. Because it's based off of speed, well, if you have less rocket on your rocket, you can go faster. If you can go faster, you can go further with rockets. So the more fuel you carry on your rocket and the less rocket that you carry on your rocket, you go further into space. So mass fraction, the amount of fuel that you have on your rocket versus the amount of rocket that you have on your rocket, is a really big deal. That's why Elon Musk talks about this stuff. Scale, it works with scale. And that feeds into another thing that I've been talking about with Starship. Starship's designed to move whatever. You could put a truckload of tubas in this thing and launch it into space. No problem. You could put Tesla Roadster. Heck, 20 Tesla Roadsters could fit in that thing. Tesla Semi? Sure, why not? And the cool thing about Starship is that it could launch a Tesla into space and then bring it back, which is even cooler. The laws of physics don't change. You don't got to change your computers unless you start doing crazier things with physics. Pretty much. Do you think we have a better option instead of tiles for re-entry? Dennis, SpaceX is usually good at optimizing these types of things, dude. If Elon says that tiles are the solution, man, I'm inclined to believe him. Elon doesn't strike me as the type of guy to use something just because it's there. He strikes me as the type of guy to use whatever you need to get the best application here, to get the best result. So, look, man, if Elon says tiles are the thing, I believe him. And as a shuttle connoisseur, I do approve of this. Yeah, I know, Sebi. Yeah, I know all about that. The computer that landed a man on the moon was slower than a Commodore 64. Indeed, yeah. But we're talking about physical size of the processor, W, not processing speed. I mean, the computers that are in that thing make the Apollo computer look like an Etch-a-Sketch. You know, like, you know. Are they still working on a Tesla Semi? Yeah, they're building the factory for it, RJ. In Texas. Have you seen how big that factory is, dude? It is a monster. It is a monster of a factory. It's beautiful. So you can land with a full load. Wow, that is a very dynamically unstable situation. The control laws must be amazing. There's a reason why it has wings and RCS, worst. Yeah. Honestly, guys, 6 Raptor engines down here. I mean, worst, think about it like this. Starship is not going to have a lot of fuel, right? It's not going to have a lot of fuel. Because it's landing. You have enough fuel in the header, in the methane header tank here, and the oxygen header tank right there. You have open space basically from here to about here, right? Now keep in mind that's 1,000 cubic meters from there to there, which is insane, right? Then you have relatively empty fuel tanks, and then you have 6 engines down here, and in a later version you'll have 9. Each one of those engines weighs as much as a Mack truck. It weighs as much as a semi-truck. They're 2 tons. 2 tons of rocket motor, and there's 9 of them. So that's 18 tons of dry mass down here. 18 tons of rocket attached to the bottom of your rocket, right? That tells me that you could put 18 tons of truck up here. You could put 18 tons of space station module. You could put 18 tons of lead up here. As long as it's balanced, you'll be fine. And that's where the wings and the RCS come into play. Did you ever listen to 13 Minutes to the Moon? No, Alex, I don't think I have. Yeah, a boring machine. Zero, wouldn't that be crazy? Yeah, Starship is nuts, dude. This is an insane idea. This is taking all the best qualities of the space shuttle and all the best qualities of a Saturn V and combining it into one vehicle. It is ridiculous. It is ridiculous what this thing can do. Like, once again, it hasn't done it yet, but what it theoretically could do is... It's game-changing stuff, man. It's game-changing stuff, easily. The issue is dynamic instability. Once it deviates from the center line, it generates a huge moment. RCS and 15 degrees of gimbal worse should be able to compensate for that. Don't you? I mean, 15 degrees of gimbal. There's a reason why those engines can gimbal so much, because they're taking into account what you're talking about. I understand that the payload will have a lot of moment up here. But if you have 18 tons here, fuel here, and liquid fuel here, and oxidizer here, where's your center of mass going to be? It's pretty much going to be right in the center. It's going to be right here. Maybe a little bit of a forward bias. Now, I know what you're talking about. Like when you're talking about after the thing flips over, right? And when it's coming down, you have a lot of moment. You have a lot of moment over the top. You know what's going to fix that? Always having a downward velocity component until the very end, right? So you'll throttle back the engines and you'll keep using gravity to stabilize you. But I understand what you're saying. It's going to want to come around. That's why I think the catch arms, you know, the chopsticks, right? If this is the chopsticks, when the rocket comes in, the chopsticks are going to move down with the vehicle to help prevent that from happening. But I do understand what you're saying. Yeah, you have a lot of forward moment if you have down mass payload with this thing. You're probably going to want to put the payload as low inside of the payload bay as possible if you have down mass capability. Like, that's what they did with the space shuttle. Payload, when the shuttle was taking stuff down, the payload was always at the way, way, way back for balance issues, or else the shuttle would do a nosedive when it re-entered. So NASA and the European Space Agency don't like Elon Musk because he makes the same things for cheap? No, Joe, that's gross oversimplification. No, not at all. What do you mean NASA doesn't like him? Freaking NASA loves that guy. Are you kidding me? Here, let me show you. Let's go NASA Artemis. You think NASA would go around on their official Twitter accounts posting pictures of Starship if they didn't like it? Hell no, man. There's the ship that you just saw static fire. This is coming from an official NASA account. This is NASA's Artemis account. The Twitter account for the Artemis program. This is official. No. At the end of the day, I think NASA's greedy. If the government wants to give them their own rocket, SLS, to fly, and also pay them to use Starship at the same time, I think they're going to be like, yeah, that's a good idea. Wait, you want us to use SLS and Starship? Oh, God, please don't twist my arm, man, you know? They're looking into it, Shady, but yeah. Yeah, no, they work together, dude. Anybody that tries to say they're pitted against each other is an idiot. That's just not how it is, man. Like, you know, it's just, that's not how that works. NASA loves SpaceX because they're so cheap. I mean, it's definitely advantageous for scientific discoveries, Dutch, for sure. Or not Dutch, worst tank, yeah. I think they work hand in hand, dude. I think they're symbiotic. They help each other. SpaceX brings the cost down of launches, and NASA can still work on their big lunar programs, too. Because they don't have to worry about moving people off the space station, SpaceX picks up the slack for them. It's complementary. It's complementary space programs. Want this or that? Yes. SLS is a beast, Adam. I mean, you're telling me you don't want to have 2 super heavy lift rockets? Call it a money pit all you want. We literally have a rocket that's the Saturn V in the space shuttle and another Saturn V class rocket being made at the same time. Ain't nobody can convince me that that's bad for NASA. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Nobody here could say that we should give NASA less money and that's better for spaceflight. That's stupid. That is the dumb. That's not smart. That's not a smart thing to say. And also, at the same time, people are going to convince me that less rockets are better for spaceflight. Fat chance. No. See what I'm talking about, dude? It's easy to say that SLS, it's a big money pit. Okay, do you not? That's gonna. Do you not want more rockets? I want more rockets. I don't know about you, especially bigger rockets. I want more bigger rockets. Maybe NASA is better at probes. Yeah, they're definitely good at it, but NASA doesn't have to just work on probes. They can have their big rockets and probes and be good at both of those things, you know? SLS looks like it's actually coming. Starliner less so. I mean, Metreon, do you think that Boeing would throw $400 million and pay for at Starliner and pay for a test flight out of pocket if they didn't think it was coming? $400 million, dude. That's how much OFT2 is projected to cost. Probably more now because they had that problem with the valves. If SLS didn't exist, how would we know that Starship is cheaper? That's the thing. Pent, that's what I've always said. You gotta have a check. You gotta have a datum somewhere. How do you know that UPS and FedEx are cheaper are the cheapest way to move packages around? Because of the post office. And even then, the post office is still less expensive in some regards. See what I'm talking about? That's what I mean about less rockets versus more. I want NASA with their own in-house program, and I want SpaceX with their own in-house program. One, first and foremost, I am a greedy, greedy person. I want more rockets, not less. Ain't no one gonna convince me that less rockets is better for launching rockets. Yes, I'm a spaceflight fan, so I want less rockets. That's not smart. That's not how that works. I don't think that's how that works. That doesn't sound right to me, but I can't really say why. No, I can say why. I mean, that leads me to the second part of this. Do you want a corporation with the only having the only access to the space station or the moon, for instance? I'm pretty sure I've heard this story before, albeit science fiction. I don't want a corporation, even if it is SpaceX, being the only ones that are allowed to get to Mars. I don't think a corporation gatekeeping going to other planets or going into space is a good idea either. NASA needs to have their own in-house program. You want to see a nice, healthy spaceflight economy in the future? That's the way to do it. That's why I cheer on every rocket. You can say it's a money pit, but there's a reason why it exists. You need to have both, or else you're going to have insustainability in your space program. How do I know? Well, if the government is the only way for people to get to the moon, what's the check there? Another government. So if another government wants to go to the moon, and one government can go to the moon, they're gonna race to see who can do that capability, right? They're gonna race for capability, which is what happened during the space race. And the second that the Soviets figured out that we were cutting funding on the Apollo program, they canceled their lunar program, and that left us with the only way to get to the moon. And then we canceled it. We rescinded capability because of stagnation. What's the check? The check this time around is that, I mean, there's other governments that have lunar aspirations, and that's all fine and dandy, but if you know anything about spaceflight, you know that a space race with China, for instance, is not necessarily the wisest decision. It's insustainable. Just like Apollo. Bad idea. You have to have another check. There has to be a check and balance there to ensure long-term spaceflight. You want the expanse in the future? You want Star Trek? You want to go trekking around there? We need to ensure that we focus on spaceflight for a very long period of time. That's the way to do it. That's right, Tan. You got it. See what I'm talking about, dude? I mean, once again, if people out there think SLS is a money pit, I ain't trying to change your mind. I'm just offering a different point of view. I mean, there are some folks out there that are convinced wholeheartedly that NASA should just rely on corporations to launch their scientific experiments into space. I'll repeat that statement again, and I'll let you be the judge of what you how valid you think that statement is. There are people out there that think that NASA should be beholden to corporations to launch their scientific experiments into space. Do we really want that? I don't. I don't think that's a good idea, even if it is SpaceX. I love Elon and I love SpaceX, but they need competition. Elon has said this himself. He said this himself. They need competition. They need to spur the industry, reusability. You have to do stuff like that. This ain't rocket science, man. Yeah, oh wait, yes it is. Hey, Klavic, 51-month resub. I want my affordable jet pack. Yeah, right, upstate, yeah. Where's our flying cars? It's 2021. Patriots fans among saddest and most miserable in NFL news survey reveals. Why, Atlanta? We have 7 Super Bowl rings. Who cares? Patriots could lose every game, and I'd be like, all right, whatever. Yeah, and see what I'm talking about? There are other cited examples that I don't talk about because they're pain points for some people. See what I'm talking about, though? Does that make sense? Dude, I'm telling you, SLS might seem like it's expensive, and it is. But flying into space is expensive. You don't think this thing costs a couple $1 billion in development? Oh, absolutely. Starship's probably on the same development costs scaling, not development cost scaling, that's not a thing. Probably costs as much money to make that, if not more, than SLS. I'm not kidding. But we don't hear about that because SpaceX doesn't tell you their prices. NASA has to tell you their prices. They're beholden to taxpayers, so they have to disclose how much stuff costs. Right? Dude, how much do you think they've invested in Boca Chica alone? It's got to be at least $5-6 billion. I mean, that's just a guess. Who knows? But there's easily, look at all this hardware that's here. I know about the flying electric car. Worst. Yeah, that thing's cool. The little drone with a pilot seat in it. See what I'm talking about, though? More rockets are better for the industry right now. Ain't nobody gonna change my mind. More rockets is more competition. That's more long-term sustainability. I love that tower. Yeah, me too, Galactic. How many rockets can exist at the same time? As much as the market needs, but it's time. You have to grow the market right now, Singularity. That's why everybody's trying to throw their hat in the ring, because everybody's trying to make a buck off launching stuff into space. How high is this structure? That one, 525 feet. Well, it's 500 right now. It's going to have an antenna on top of it. That's going to make it 525. Yeah, Roger, exactly. I mean, once again, guys, if people are like, I'm not saying you have to think this way. Everyone else certainly has their ideas about what's the best way forward with spaceflight, and that's fine. You don't have to agree with me. That's totally cool. Lord knows there's plenty of people that don't. This is just kind of where I'm at. And how am I qualified to say this? Well, I've been following the space program for over a decade. I have over a decade of very, very intense study of the space program, sustainable space programs, unsustainable space programs, space policy, rocket vehicle architecture. I mean, whatever you want to talk about, man. I read NASA's systems engineering handbooks for fun because I'm a loser. Like, I don't know what you want. It detanked already, Owens. Yep. I've been streaming spaceflight stuff here for almost a decade. I study this stuff every day in detail. On stream, too, if you want to learn with me. Yeah, SDX. I'm surprised Elon hasn't asked you to be PR for SpaceX. Yeah, you loser. Yeah, I mean, I sit home and play video games all day. What do you want from me? I always envisioned a 3D printer making a tower to orbit. Thought about it for a decade. Corn, a space elevator, dude, is difficult. Difficult thing, dude. Difficult thing. So, Corn, think about it like this. Remember those RC planes? Those little gas-powered RC planes that you had on a string, and you start the plane up, and then you hold the string, and it goes... You're going to need to basically do that to make an orbital elevator. And in this case, the plane, or the counterweight, needs to be at geosynchronous. Because the counterweight needs to stay over one position, right? And then you build your elevator over that. That counterweight is 23,500 miles that way. So, you'd have to put the counterweight out there. I don't know how the counterweight's going to have to be huge because it has to be able to pull the cable tight or else the cable will unravel and it'll yank the thing down. It'll perturb the counterweight. And it needs to be under great tension load because like the string for the airplane that's flying around in circles really, really fast, that string is stretching. And you're gonna need something that's gonna be able to withstand multi-million pounds of tension force, which we don't have the materials to be able to make that right now. Now, with that being said, that does not mean that we couldn't do that in the future. It's totally possible. I wouldn't. It's easier to just make a rocket. That's like way easier to just make a rocket. What we're talking about here would be like building a bridge across the Atlantic Ocean. There's a reason why we haven't done that. Because building a boat is way easier. Ship. Sorry, squids. Ship. See what I'm talking about? That doesn't mean it's impossible. No, absolutely not. Leonardo da Vinci could have made a space shuttle. He was smart enough to do that. He just didn't know how to do it. Maybe we'll figure out a better way to do it in the future. I don't know. We need slingshots. Someone's working on that, believe it or not, Shipment. It's called spin launch. It's not a slingshot. It's they spin the rocket around and then they let it go and the rocket shoots itself up into space from being spun around and then it fires the rocket engine to circularize. I'm serious. That's a real thing that people are working on. It's kind of nuts, huh? It seems like some Wile E. Coyote stuff, but it's pretty cool. I don't think spin launch will work. I have my doubts, Doom, but I'm going to cheer him on just like everybody else. Oh, well, that's good, Thomas. W, I'm looking for your last. We need the NCC 1701. All right, well, get on it. Anybody can say that we need a ship from Star Trek. It takes a Zephyrim Cochrane to engineer one. Where's yours? Go find a Titan II, boy. Was there a recent development warp drive or just hype? It's not hype style. It's an experiment that was conducted by accident. They kind of figured this out by accident. They figured out that it's possible to be able to duplicate Alcubierre's mathematics for making a warp drive, which means it needs to be peer-reviewed, and then it needs to be tested. So the right way to say it was that we could have an advancement in warp drive soon, if someone reviews it. It's a peer review. It's all about peer review with scientific analysis. Carbon nanofibers can do everything except leave the lab.
Discovery,
Funny.
go at throttle up.
Remember that time I said I'd eat a hat if James Webb launched in 2022? Did you eat a hat? You ate a hat. Wait. Alex, oh my goodness. Nice. 6265, 19-month resub. Thanks, man. Mr. Fire was successful. Everything looked good. I don't know, Hellfish. I don't know what that means, but alright. Is Falcon 9 a good substitute for a Titan rocket? Yeah, might have to buy one surplus on the market. There's still Titan 2s around, W, but yeah, it'd probably be a Falcon 9.
Discovery, go at throttle.
Pokey gifted us up to SDX.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Pokey gifted us up to WW. Jeez, you guys are going bananas with those subs. But yeah, good conversation, guys. Nuclear-powered manhole. I mean, animal... Yeah, it's... That could work. If you're not worried about your payload getting really hot and vaporizing itself while it flies into space, but it could work. I think there's better ways to do it than blowing up a nuke behind you and trying to ride the nuclear blast into space. I can think of several reasons why you wouldn't want to do that. I can think of several reasons why I wouldn't want that to happen ever. Nuclear thermal is a much better use of nuclear material in space. A nuclear thermal rocket will shoot you way further than the nuke would. Oh yeah, way further. Well, the right way to say that is it'll accelerate you over a longer period of time, and your net acceleration versus riding a nuclear blast wave, which propagates and then fades out over time, is way, way higher. Not a Project Orion fan, Ed Mana. I think nuclear fission and an unregulated neutron flux reaction is amateur stuff, dude. That's amateur stuff. That's like saying a firearm is an advanced piece of mechanical engineering when you have something like a transmission sitting next to it. Transmission is using a transmission and a car's engine are using the same exact principles as a gun, mechanical engineering and a little bit of chemical engineering, right? I think the car is a much better application. Am I wrong? I think the Orion drive and, frankly, nuclear blasts and nuclear detonations are Bush League nuclear physics, if you really want my honest opinion. It takes somebody smart to make a nuclear reactor. Any idiot can make a nuclear bomb. No, that's not true, but you get what I'm trying to say. What's your thoughts on Sons of Orpheus? I don't know that. I don't know what that is, Willow. Fill me in, dude. And play Fly-By-Night on the first launch. Yeah, right. Admitted it wins because of the raw cool factor alone. Doesn't excite me. It doesn't inspire joy in me in any way, shape, or form, Admina. Nope. Need a gas-powered minigun? Why? Electric miniguns are better. Instant torque. Instant spin and instant... That's why miniguns have been electrically actuated since the 70s. I mean, a gas-powered one would be cool, though, I will admit. Now, I want any idiot can make a nuclear bomb on a t-shirt. Yeah, right. I'm all about the nuclear rotating detonation engine. That's what I mean, S. There's better ways to harness nuclear capacity in space. Exactly, Caveman. It's Bush League. I mean, that's just personal opinion. Make it... causing cataclysmic... not cataclysmic. Causing an unregulated nuclear flux reaction nuclear materials is, yeah, lame. The way I like to explain why it's lame to people is that you guys take a picture with your phone, you have the flasher on, all right? What's the flashlight on a camera? Like a flasher, if you have a DSLR, what's that used for? Well, it basically releases a lot of light all at once in a split second. All right? Good for certain things, like pointing it at somebody and saying, "Hey, don't do that." Right? Or you could have a light. A light releases a little bit of energy over a very long period of time. It is used for stuff like seeing in the dark, for instance. Much better application. But that's just personal opinion. Something like that, Ren. I don't know what ULA is doing with that, with ACES, but yeah, they want to have a car engine that uses the ullage gases to keep the tanks pressurized. Yeah, something like that, Alex. Point is that there's better ways to do it. Sons of Orpheus is the idea to shoot dead bodies into space to maybe seed life on other planets. I mean, by seed life, Willow, I mean, so use biological warfare against other planets? That sounds like there might be some ethical concerns there. I mean, oh, okay, Willow. I'm pretty sure that someone will have a problem with that somewhere, but I can't say why and who. I'm pretty sure somebody will have a problem with that somewhere. I just don't know who. Didn't they do that in the Middle Ages? Hurl dead bodies into castles? That's biological siege warfare. I'm pretty sure that's not a good thing. I'm pretty sure we don't want that. But I could be wrong. You're welcome. This was my contribution. No, that's good, man. I like that. That's funny. Oh, dude. Well, look, man. We talk about some pretty crazy concepts on here, dude. We nerd the heck out with nuclear flux, unregulated nuclear flux chain reactions and stuff. But you know what? Sometimes it's good to take yourself down a peg or two. You know, sometimes it's good to pull your head out of your tail, not go full nerd scientist. You know what I'm saying? Because then people come in here and they're like, okay. I'm trying to get more people involved with space, not less. And I don't need people thinking I'm a nutter. I mean, let me rephrase that. I don't need any more people thinking I'm a nutter than people out there already do. Yeah, Roger's not kidding. Mm-hmm. Yep, too late. Like I said, more people. You guys, yeah, no, that's a lost cause. I don't even try to say I'm not crazy. You guys know I'm a little nutty. What is this? What is this, Forge? Now this is really complicated, especially the 8-meter version in the last 30 seconds. Oh, Louvoir development, yes. The sequel to James Webb that will launch in 50 years. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, that's so cool. We should start mass producing those like now. Yeah, you guys want to see what NASA has cooked up for the sequel to James Webb, the satellite that they just launched the other day and haven't even started using? This is the follow-up mission called Louvoir. Watch this thing. You think James Webb was complicated? Look at this. Port cam. You're a port. Goat 'em. Hey, roll out solar arrays. Yeah, this is James Webb's bigger brother. NASA has this cooking in the books right now. Oh, hello. I'm over James Webb. I want this. Oh, that's That's dope. That is dope! I want it. Is that a solar sail? No, it's a sun shield. It's a sun shield so they can keep the mirrors cool, because the mirrors get distortion if they're not near vacuum, near 0 Kelvin. Long story short, the antenna needs to be cold. If it's hot, and if it's an infrared telescope, it'll distort the image. Hey, Ekim, 52 months. That's a 15-meter version. The 8-meter version is also available in the last 30 seconds. Oh, okay. Link, please. Forge, link it up again. Seriously, though, look at Fleet Cam. The booster's barely on the barge. I know, Jax. I know. Heat distorts visual telescopes, too. Yep. Last time you said you want something, you said you don't want it eventually. Chief, if I had my way, there would be a factory churning these things out. If I had my way, there wouldn't be just one James Webb. There would be a fleet of them, and each one of them would be at Earth Sun L1 or L2, L3 or L2, L4, and L5. I'd have a constellation of James Webb. We'd have a flock of Webb. Yeah, if I had my way. Yeah, there'd be a fleet of these things, and guess what? I would make them with modular serviceable architecture in the beginning, and I would make ships that can go out there, Starship, and fix them if needed. A web of webs in deep space. A web of James Webb telescopes in deep space, and you know what we'll call it? We'll call it the Deep Web. No. 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 No, let's not do that. That's not a good idea. Static fire did happen, Benno. Yep. I see what you did there. Oh. Ooh, that's yeah, that's okay. So this is NASA Spaceflight's Fleet Cam. The camera that you just saw on NASA Spaceflight here a second ago was in Texas. They swapped over to the Florida cam. This is at Port Canaveral. This is a Falcon 9 that just flew the other day. If they're solid state, we can call them the deep state. That's a good idea. Yeah, that's a good idea. Nobody will have any problems with that ever. Octograbber isn't holding on to the booster. Yeah, Thomas, this thing moved around. Rough seas all day. Oh yeah, the fence is broken too. Look at this. Oh wow, dude, that booster is close to being lost. That's kind of crazy. Is it supposed to lean like that? No, it is not. So, yeah, that's not supposed to do that. Would having fixed telescopes on the moon next to future moon bases be beneficial and feasible? They need to be on the far side of the moon, Panther, and yes, absolutely. And guess what we should do? Build a bunch of them there, too. You guys don't understand. I'm not just for human spaceflight or scientific endeavors in space. I want everything. I am a greedy bastard when it comes to the bastard, not like that. I want everything. Let's launch this into space. Screw it. Launch that into space. Not because we need to, but because we could. Launch that into space. What the heck are you going to do with a recovery ship in space? I don't freaking know. I don't know. It ain't my job to know. We should do that, though. I'm sure it has a scientific application somewhere. All right? A very large far-side lunar array would be nice. That would be amazing, passing. Yeah, it would be amazing. No, EJ, no, that is so not right. No, Penta, it's called rocket launching, okay? We went rocket launching, okay? Can't you see the rocket? This was brand new booster, yep. So it looks like the grabber. So see this white thing down here? This kind of thing that looks like a foundation for the rocket? It didn't grab because it looks like this Falcon 9 started moving around. They do move around on the drone ships in rough seas. The Falcon 9s can pendulum and they can slide across the deck. It looks like it slid across the deck and crashed into the deck here, so Octograbber couldn't grab at the thing. So they just chained the sucker right to the Octograbber. What's the Octograbber? This thing is a huge pallet that's made out of steel, And it's intentionally built like a tank. It has tank treads on it. And the tank treads can actually retract. It has like retractable landing gear tank treads. The idea is that white thing drives underneath Falcon 9, bolts itself to Falcon 9's hold down points, which is right there, and then just plants itself onto the deck so Falcon 9 doesn't move around. It's a weight. It's a weight to hold Falcon in place. Looks like that didn't happen here. It looks like the Octograbber tried to drive under it. It definitely collided with some of the rocket engines because the rocket engine was tilted from wobbling around on the deck. And they just said, screw it, chain the thing. Yeah, those engines, I'm seeing some very distinct crumpling on the nozzles right there. Yeah, So the rough seas tossed this thing around. Falcon 9 doesn't have any suspension. There's no suspension on these legs, okay? What it does have is a crush core, so it has a crumple zone. So if the barge is in rough seas and wobbles around a little bit, Falcon 9's going to wobble back and forth, and it has nothing to dampen out that force. So the core is crushed, so the rocket starts to tilt. Right? There's crumple zones built into the legs. They're right there. Well, built into the pneumatic pistons. They're right at the end. Right down there. And if Falcon 9 is bouncing around, on ships that are in rough seas, it's going to move it back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And if it hits the wall like it did, it's going to crumple it and it's going to tilt the booster to the side. So it looks like that's what happened. And it moved around on the deck before Octograbber could get to it. And Octograbber crashed into the side of it. And then they just said bolt it to Octograbber and call it a day. Yeah. The Octograbber crashed into the engine bell. See the nozzle. The nozzle's all messed up. Right there, and right there. Yeah. Well, gonna have to replace those. Yeah, you're gonna have to replace those. Now, if you're wondering, Falcon 9's landing legs are just on hinges. They could free float around. They could wobble around like this if they need to. They're attached to a pneumatic gas strut. That's what these things are right here. Those pneumatic gas struts are like, have you guys ever have a car and you open up the hood and you have those little pneumatic gas struts that open up and they keep the hood open, right? Instead of using a prop rod, or you open up the boot or a trunk of a car and it opens up. That's those things' bigger brother. The pneumatic gas struts. That's what they're called. You think if they fired the engines, it would just pop the dents out of the nozzles? Something funny would happen. I don't know what that would be. But something funny would happen. Would the nozzle crushing pressure have caused any damage to the inner engine? No. Nozzles are not as strong as we think they are, Sile. Yeah, those engines need a new throat and a new nozzle. Something funny, but no one would be laughing. Yeah, Demon, you can go try to kink the dents out of that by firing the engine somewhere that I'm not near. Yeah, I'll just be over here. They can go. If someone wants to go and try that, they'd do that over there, far away from me. They are strong in tension, not compression. Exactly, Nexus. They're designed to have force push out, not in. What do you think about Octoweb? The Octoweb's fine. It looked fine to me. I like that idea, Floating. I like that idea a lot. Telescope built into Starship's payload bay. Built-in dedicated science Starship. Now we're talking, man. That would be cool. Baxi, I think it was a 3-engine static fire, but I'm not sure. Something like that, yeah. Ooh, that is a big known. Oh, yeah, that's all messed up. It looks like the booster tilted before they could get the Octograbber underneath it. The Octoweb looks okay, Goalie. Everything looks fine here. They have all the safing plate attached to the umbilicals. Yeah, this thing's definitely messed up. Not here, or here so much, but right there. Yeah, also right there, not here or here so much. Right there, right there. Yeah, that's definitely not. Yeah, that's not glare. Those nozzles are bent. Those throw them away. Not useless. Yeah, it looks like I don't know, man. That may have screwed something up. This engine is definitely tilted. It may have just actuated the gimbal. Yeah, this booster's brand new. That sucks. Yeah, whatever. Guys, honestly, the nozzles getting kinked up a little bit is not that big of a deal. These engines, Falcon 9 is designed to have the engines easily removed. They can pop 2 or 3 panels off, undo some electronics, undo some electronic plugs and the fuel lines, and and that's pretty much it. Merlin 1Ds are built on a thrust plate, believe it or not. Here, it's actually really freaking smart. So instead of having all the hardware for the rocket engine mounted on Falcon 9, Merlin 1D engines have a huge thrust plate at the top of the motor, and everything is attached to that. And then there's just a couple of connections up at the top. Look, even the gimbals are connected to it. So all you got to do, I say this like this is some easy task or something. All you got to do is undo the plate, undo the fuel lines, undo the wire harness, and you're good. You can pop the engine out. I've heard, not heard. I know people that work at SpaceX. They can swap this out in a week, no problem. And a week is insane for rockets. That sounds like a lot of time. That's insane for rocket engines. That's unheard of. Yeah, Falcon 9 is built with very modular architecture on purpose. Yeah, see? Yeah, that's right, Forge. We even heard a little while back that SpaceX used these engines. Again, they reused some of these parts from these engines on a booster that crashed. What about changing the whole octaweb? You could do that too, Bauxy. But the engines are designed to be replaced. The engines are designed to be able to pop off. The whole octaweb. The Falcon 9 uses a whole modular subassembly down at the bottom called an octaweb. It's actually really, really smart. It's a modular thrust structure that's it's compartmentalized into 9 compartments. Now, keep in mind, that's a really old version of it. But we're looking at this right here. These plates right here is where the RP-1 tank would be attached. The engines would be facing that way. But you can see it's built into 9 compartments. See that? And look, the compartments are just happen to be the exact same shape as that. It's not a coincidence. You just bolt them into the compartments. It's supposed to be simple. How long did it take to change an RS-25? A couple of weeks, Geeson. Hey, Trippy, what's going on, man? How's that Apex life, dude? Everything good? Thank you for sharing your pilgrimage pizza. Going to check it out soon. Andy, you will be impressed. It's very good pizza. Yeah, this guy, the reason why I know this is an outdated version, guys, is because the guy's welding it. SpaceX has a bolt-together octaweb for Block 5 to be able to manufacture these things even quicker. Before the octawebs were TIG welded together. It's a TIG welded aluminum structure. Aluminum lithium, excuse me. So it's an alloy. But the plumbing on octaweb must be crazy. It's just a 1:9 manifold. Pretty straightforward stuff. They swap out Raptors in hours, right? Raptors are built the same way, K3. Everything is on the rocket engine. And then you hook up the gimbal, and you hook up the gimbal mount, and you hook up the gimbal actuators, and then the fuel lines, and then you plug it in. Don't get me wrong. Most rocket engines are like that. But some rocket engines have parts that you need to attach to the rocket. They aren't designed to be modular and be mass-produced. SpaceX's stuff is designed to be mass-produced. Now, don't get me wrong. ULA still has stuff like this that, you know, and they can build stuff reasonably fast for what they need. But it's nothing like that level of ridiculousness. Can you check this, please? What am I looking at here? RS-25s aren't really like that. RS-25s are difficult to install gamer, because they had to have been installed in the like sideways into a shuttle engine. You can swap an RS-25 relatively quickly, but it's not built like these. First of all, these are a much simpler engine than an RS-25. Swapping engines in the HIF. Yep, see? Oh, okay, I got you. Check it out. So, see, there's the octaweb. They have the panels off. We saw the panels. There are the panels right there. That all can pop right off. There's your hold down point. See the pin right there? And then that plate, not that plate right there bolts right into this. And I'll bet you that all you got to do is bolt the plate in. I'll bet you they have adapters for it. So like, there's wiring that all you got to do is line the plate up and it hooks up the fuel lines and everything for you. You just got to tighten it down. Probably the wiring too, if I had to guess. It looks like the harness is going into a central hub right here. It's like Lego. Yeah, it literally snaps together. That's part of the reason why SpaceX has been able to keep the costs down, because everything is designed to be modular. And then if you're using reusable boosters, you might need to swap the engines. Oh, I don't know, in case your rover crunches into some of the engine nozzles. Probably be a good idea to make this all modular, right? In case you have to replace it. Other rockets, you don't really have to worry about that. You install the engine once, and hopefully that's the end of it. But yeah, see, there's the plate. There's the plate mount right there. There's your two fuel lines, liquid fuel and oxidizer. And there's probably wire harness hookup right there. You can see some wiring. If you're wondering why the nozzles have all this stuff in here, that's could be two things. It could be coking, or it could be the cleaning material that they use to clean the inside of the nozzle. You want to keep that nice and clean. Yeah, you don't want anything in there but liquid fuel and oxidizer, and then atmosphere from time to time. See Forge's new link. See Forge's new link. See it. Look at it. You have to see it now. Yep, there it is. There's your plate mount right there. Guys, like I said, they try to keep this as simple as it possibly can be. It's pretty smart. Pretty damn smart design. Could this be an octograbber failure rather than rough seas? How would it be an octograbber failure if the octograbber ran into the nozzles, Jax? I don't think octograbber failed. I think they landed the booster in rough seas. Because you guys got to, if I'm remembering right, what did this booster launch? It launched a Dragon capsule. Wasn't that the mission where that was like 30% go? That was, Thomas, SpaceX launched so much stuff in the past week and a half. That had weather violations, right? It had weather violations, which means there was a storm near KSC. If I recall looking correctly at the weather from the day that it launched, there was a storm out at sea. You know what the crazy part about that is? That means that Falcon 9 literally landed in a monsoon. That's ridiculous. Don't you put that evil on me! It was offshore. There was a huge storm offshore to the northeast of the Cape. I remember looking at the weather. Holy balls. That means that thing landed. It means it landed in a freaking monsoon. We're talking Lieutenant Dan. You call this a storm? It's time for a showdown. You and me. I'm right here. You'll never take this rocket. Ah! Just picture Lieutenant Dan sitting up at the top on top of Falcon 9 in the interstage. You'll never take this rocket. What was the landing time and the landing zone? 500 kilometers 500 kilometers downrange with a flight azimuth of hold on. I have to reverse it. So flight azimuth of 90 would be 0 degrees inclined. They went to 51 degrees inclined, which means it's flight azimuth of, so 90 minus 51, so 39. That thing went northeast, like almost exactly due northeast. Yeah, here, take a look. Look at the legs. Look at the legs at the hinge point. They're bent. She's twisted. And in terms of when it launched, it was... I have to look, weather guy. Hold on. Falcon 9, so it launched December 21st at 5:07 a.m. and it launched on a due northeast trajectory, 45 degrees, almost exactly off of from 39A. So if you look at 39A, go 45 degrees off. Actually, it's more like 39 degrees off. 39 degrees off due north. Yeah, or 51 off of 90. I don't think it was a rough landing, dudes. Here, let's go take a look. I remember it shooting through the clouds. Let's take a look here. So this is a replay. I got you. Weather guy, look at what Ford
Stage 1
just
landing is
linked.
confirmed.
We didn't.
So hopefully we get some visuals.
So there's that booster. That's where it landed. And that's where it is on the drone ship. I mean, do the math. Well, she's on my lawn, so do the math. That landing looked pretty right to me. What's the last bit of footage we got from that first stage? It was leaning a little bit after landing. Interesting. Yeah, that's the last shot of it. Yeah, dude, look at that. Look at that. Dude, that booster landed in a frickin' monsoon. Unbelievable. I guess a better question is, do you think the booster moved or the back corner of the ship, or after the octograbber was attached? I think it landed in rough seas, Jax, and the rough seas moved the booster almost off the drone ship, and then they tried to grab it with octograbber, and they couldn't get it in the rough seas, so they chained it to octograbber to get it to not lose the freaking booster. Yeah, there it is. Hey, Minion, 51 months. I think this camera is slightly tilted that way, and I think that makes it look like it's a little tilted. But we could also use the horizon on the drone ship right there to look at it. If you look at the horizon on the blast plate on the other side of the drone ship, and then you look at where that octaweb that I keep telling you guys about attaches to the bottom of the RP-1 tank, it's very clear there's a tangent. It did come in a little rough. Just a little bit rough, but it did land. Maybe not right. Okay, let me take a look. So this is what the weather looked like when it landed. Let me see. So, guys, this thing would have landed like right here. 600 kilometers downrange, or about, I think about 400 miles. 400 miles northeast. So northeast trajectory here, actually, right there. Dude, it landed in the thick of that storm. Holy crap. The landing zone is like right here. Coming out of 39A out of the Cape. That's the landing zone. Literally some of the brightest colors on this map. That's nuts. That thing landed in a freaking monsoon, and it freaking made it. It never got secured with the Octograbber, dude. It never got secured. Look. Octograbber ain't attached.
Discovery, go at throttle
It
up.
didn't even bother putting up the arms. It tried to drive under it, and it screwed up all the nozzles. Look, the nozzle's destroyed. And then they tried to get it underneath it, and then they said, screw it. Ratchet strap that sucker down so we don't lose the booster. See? That's not how they usually secure that. Octograbber has arms that grab the hold down points. Hey, Defiant, what's going on? 27-month resub. Look at the edge of the yellow drone ship. It's bent. I see that. The lip's all that stopped it from going over. I think it was just landing in rough seas. I see it, Tessa. I see it. I see it. The crush cores aren't crushed. It would have been a scary job to fasten that by hand. Well, anybody that ventures out into the ocean, Mosh, is on some hazard pay for sure. Fishermen, everything. Yeah. It's kind of a life-threatening situation if you get caught in a storm, huh? There are support ships, Neo. There's nobody on the drone ship when Falcon 9 lands. Yeah, here, see? So take a look at this, right? Consider this, the chains and everything. Thomas, thank you. This is what it's supposed to look like. There's arms on the Octograbber that rise up and they grab Falcon 9's hold down points. That's the hold down point, and it's chained. There's industrial ratchet straps holding that thing down. Thank you. Yeah, Chief, don't screw around with hydraulics. Unless you really know what you're doing. That's all I'm gonna say. Yeah, Thomas, there you go. Chains are obligatory for at-sea cargo transportation. I'm sure they have a bunch of ratchet straps and chains and stuff just in case something like this happens. Yeah, Bob, I think that the rough seas compacted the crush course over time. Here, I'll show you one more thing. Consider this. What time is it? 2:40. Okay. Consider this. Ready? Here. So, rough seas can do this with a Falcon 9. Watch this next shot after that explosion. See? See what I mean? That's pretty much what happened. Only it was a lot more rough than that because this thing broke through the I-beam on the side. Like, the I-beam is bent. Dude, how rough was that damn storm? Man. Sketchy. Yeah, right? Yeah, they used to use airplane jacks. That's right. Yeah, no. Dude, and look, these waters barely have any white caps, dude. That's relatively calm seas, to be honest with you. Is that nuts or what? Oh, I forgot about that mission. They definitely reused those engines too. I'm serious. Pretty sure they did. Yeah, see? Dude, this absolutely happens. If you hit one of those crush cores on landing, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what happens. It'll just rock itself off the side of the drone ship. SpaceX actually lost a Falcon Heavy core from that. A Falcon Heavy core tipped over the edge. Is that crazy or what? And look, I mean, if you take a look at this shot right here, right? This thing doesn't bend the I-beams. You know how rough the seas needed to be to scoot this thing off and then bend the I-beam out of the way? Yeah, dude, this thing landed in a freaking monsoon. Hey, Ian, good job on the cast today, dude. We were watching. What's that, Sebi? Yeah, Ian, you see the train wreck that happened here? What the frick, man? Ian, we're theorizing over here, dude, that this thing... We looked at the weather reports. So I had a viewer that knows meteorology pull the weather reports. That's the recovery zone right there. That's the recovery zone. Dude, and you remember the weather for CRS-24? It was 30% go. Dude, that Falcon 9 landed in a monsoon. And it landed... Freaking... I can't believe it. I can't, like... I know I sound like a broken record, but that's ridiculous. What's a monsoon? A heavy storm out at sea. Yeah. I love that footage, Forge. Ewok, what's going on? How much does SpaceX lose when a Falcon booster explodes? I don't know. I know that it costs about $40 million to make a first stage. But if it's reused, who knows? Who knows how much that price gets cut down? That's a nasty landing. I was saying on the stream, I hope they didn't get damage on the engine mounts or tank section from this. Ian, I see that some of the nozzles are bent, dude, but honestly, I think that's just the gimbals. The gimbal's probably actuated because when the gimbals are off, the engine can just do that when the gimbals are off. And if you push on it, it'd be like trying to move a tire when a car is up on a lift. You'll still pump hydraulic fluid around, but you can still move it. Like you can turn a car's steering wheel by physically grabbing the wheels when it's off the ground and turn it. I'd assume the rocket engines are using a hydraulic system. It's a closed loop hydraulic. We know why it's closed loop. Yeah. So when Octograbber ran into it, I'm pretty sure it just probably actuated the gimbal. And then once the gimbal said, yep, I can't gimbal anymore, then the nozzle's crushed. I don't think anything is damaged upstream, dude, to be honest with you. Falcon 9's a little stronger than that. This is just nozzles. Look, man. If the nozzles can survive a hit like this, bing, and SpaceX can at least reuse them to an extent, or reuse components, I think we're okay. The leg mounts do look bent, though. People keep saying that. I don't think let me take a look. Those didn't fly again? They flew components from those, dude. Pretty sure. Have it on pretty good authority. Where are you guys seeing the leg mounts bent? Like doesn't look bent at all. The leg mounts? That's the hold down points. That's very unlikely. But I don't know. Let's see. Let me take a look. Let's go back a little bit on Fleet Cam. So this is NASA Spaceflight's Fleet Cam here. Aren't the nozzles made out of titanium? No. Milled copper channels. Chief, believe it or not, it's better for the heat. Milled copper cooling channels and Inconel. Yeah, Bob, it's Inco. It's Inco on the outside, but it has copper lining on the inside. It's actually really flimsy. Nozzles are not that structural, guys. They're really not. No, I don't think any of this is bent. The hold down points wouldn't bent. That's one of the strongest parts of the rocket. Yeah, see, that nozzle is a write-off. That one's toast. It looks like Octograbber tried to get underneath the Falcon and it ran into the engines. And it looks like the crew realized that it ran into the engines halfway through and said, no. Do the same laws for Rocket Lightning apply for the re-entry of Falcon 9 too? You know what, Jax? I don't know. I would assume yes, but I don't know. Just like cooling pipes for heat sinks. Well, you got to shed the heat somehow, Jen, right? My last show is a higher res close-up. Okay. This is coming from Tom McCool. All right, let's see. Oh, God, that's hard to look at. Oh. Oh, that's not safe for work. Oh. The leg mounts are just fine, fellas. The leg and the hold down points, that's fine. That's not fine. Oh, yeah, that. Oxidization, there was a lot of salt water spraying. What? What do you mean oxidization? Just swap the engines out, Grav. They're gonna, I mean, look. I know, I'm not an expert, but I know enough about this to know that this booster, dude, you want to be sure? You want to be sure that this thing flies again? Take the entire back apart. Seriously, take the whole thing apart. Take this all apart. Literally down to the RP1 tank. Take the whole damn thing apart. You want to be absolutely sure. Now, SpaceX probably has a lot of data on stuff like this, so they might know that they only need to replace a couple engines. You want to be absolutely sure you reuse this booster again 10 times? Take that whole thing apart and put it back together. Sometimes, guys, that's the right way to do it. Just take the whole stupid thing apart, take out all the broken stuff, put it all back together. You know, because Ian, you're right. What Ian in chat was saying that, yeah, these bumps could have caused something to break upstream. Now it doesn't look like it, but just because it doesn't look like it doesn't mean that something isn't wrong. Something happened down here, and I think the nozzle's just kind of bent out of the way. But yeah, that's. Look at the torn nozzle. The light green is oxidized copper. It usually takes some time, but salt water speeds it up a lot. Oh, that's what you were talking about. Okay, yep. Isn't the one on the right warped a little bit too? It ran into all of them, Tars. Yeah. Look at the curvature of the left side leg. The legs look fine to me, man. That looks fine. Maybe that one might be butted up a little bit. Maybe a little. That looks here. Let me see if we can. Something happened right there. There was stress put on that. See the discoloration right there? Looks like the paint chipped off, which, if paint's chipping off like that, I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, the engine, 2020, you know, I think there's something wrong with the engine. Not here, or here so much, but right there. You can tell it's messed up because of the way it is. And you know what, man? That's pretty neat. Definitely paint missing. Last, please. What's on the agenda today? I don't know. The schedule's all screwed up because of the static fire. I did want to play Hearts of Iron, but I also want to play Cities. So I think Hearts of Iron will take the mid-hour segment, or this where Space News would be, because we're just discussing mass space news here. And then we'll do Hearts of Iron, and then Cities. All right, so this is coming from Jenny. What's Jenny's photos? Let me see if we can look at Jenny's photos. Yeah, I don't know about that. Something weird happened over there. So, okay, here's the thing, fellas. Let's look around. This is a sub-assembly here. Where the leg's attached where the legs attach to the thrust structure on Falcon 9 and is built into the same plate where the hold down point attaches. See this pin right there? That's where Falcon 9 attaches physically to the launch pad. There's 4 of them, 12, 3, 6, and 9, all right? So 90 degrees around. That bracket is huge. This thing is huge because it has to hold Falcon 9 up when it has a full tank of gas. And these brackets where the legs attach are huge because they need to hold Falcon 9 up when it doesn't have a full tank of gas. You can see the difference in chonk right here, right? Now, with that being said, if this did bend something upstream, this thing would not break. No. That thing is designed to hold the rocket to the pad. That's the strongest part of the vehicle by a long shot. It needs to be able to hold up Falcon 9 when it's fully fueled. That's one of the strongest pieces. I can tell you that right now. Just like a landing gear is the strongest piece on an airplane, right? Same thing. If this caused some problems, I'd be looking for deformation around this because it most likely bent something else because that thing ain't breaking. No way. It's like a boat anchor, dude. It's not breaking. See the chunk difference? Yeah, right. Is there a video of this booster and the claws getting mangled? Nah, it was out at sea, Lunchbox. I think this booster landed in extremely rough seas. And then they tried to do their regular recovery stuff, and because the booster was literally doing... No, not that. The booster was doing this. Take a look. Not that. This. See? See what I'm talking about? Other Falcon 9s have done this before, but I think this one landed in super rough seas, and then they tried to recover it, and in trying to recover it, the recovery vehicle that's on the drone ship, the Octo Grabber, because it was too low, it ran into the engines and did a bad to the engines. Yeah, W maybe. Let's look at Jenny's picture again. Let me look. How thick are those engine nozzles? About 1 meter. Oh. Fellas. Keep in mind this could be scorching from aerodynamic reentry effects. But there's clear discoloration right here. And then right there. That could be something. Could be. It's most likely just scorching from reentry, but you see that discoloration right there? That could be something. Yeah, Bob, it looks like the plate buckled. This plate isn't structural though. So that means whatever this plate's attached to buckled a little bit, which is also not a good thing. Told you she's twisted. Yeah, well, I want to find some evidence here. Yeah, yes, 2020, absolutely. Yeah, there's clearly some, dude, that plate's bent. Oh, that's not good. Once again, fellas, that could just be scorching. It could just be the paint got burned. The paint gets burned. This thing goes through reentry. See? Paint gets scorched. You get all kinds of discoloration from reentry effects and from flying through its own soot and whatnot. But I don't know if you'd get reentry effects going down like this. This looked like something pushed up on the bottom of it and crumpled that side. Here, that's just Jenny's photos. That's Jenny Houtman's photos. Let's see if we can see that discoloration in any other photos here. So that's the one with the chipped paint, right? That's over here. It looks like, from this angle, it looks like discoloration. It doesn't look like anything is warped. I meant the thickness of the nozzle, not the diameter. Pointed tongue out face. I don't know. Yes. Hey, Alucard, what's going on? Now it makes sense why they kept her out of port for so long. A cargo ship was in the way, where one of the tugs is now, and they do not want a tug next to the booster path. Yep. I don't know, fellas. It's hard to say. There might be some structural damage to the octaweb. It's possible. Goalie, that's definitely what it seems like. It seems like they went to try and recover it and the thing moved. The thing did this. It did that when Octograbber was under it. Yeah, we saw the I-beam, Sevi, yeah, on the side, yeah. Oof, at least it didn't do that. Yeah. Ian, I see what you mean when you say there could be stuff. If the octaweb's bent, guys, you could just unbolt it. But yeah, you got to take apart the whole thrust structure on that rocket. I would inspect. I would, like I'm some expert or something. No, SpaceX is probably going to do what they usually do and inspect the tank welds. Inspect the welds where they welded the tanks together. Make sure that that's not deformed. Make sure that's nice and uniform. And while you're doing that, literally, I would start taking stuff apart and keep taking things apart until you find normal components that aren't broken. Hey, Denny, 45-month resub. You have some space. Blue Origin joins U.S. military cargo rocket program. The Rocket Cargo Project will explore military utility, performance, and cost of transporting cargo and people on commercial rockets. Cool. Japan wants a JAXA astronaut to be the first non-American to join a NASA lunar landing. Ooh, even better. Ian, what'd you say there? Yeah, definitely will fly again, but probably not very soon. Yeah, I don't think it's a write-off, dude. Because you can only crumple so much stuff until the tanks pop, right? Like, definitely going to need to inspect those welds. But yeah, I would just, if I were, somebody, whoever's in charge of the Falcon 9 program, I'd be like, yo, take that whole thing apart. Take it apart until you stop finding broken things. When you stop finding broken things, then you're good. Blue officially signed on to the Transcom program. That's cool. What happened? Sawyer. Yo, tell me what's wrong with this picture. Yeah, Ian, well, they inspect the welds all the time, right? They inspect the welds every time the thing flies, so that's going to happen anyway. I would tell the guys to take this stuff apart until you find stuff that doesn't look like that, man. Yo, that thing, that motor is messed up. That's not what you want. But anyway, Flykin, if you're here, these things, they're not as strong as you think. Dude, if you hit an engine nozzle with a sledgehammer, you'll put a pretty big dent in it. This stuff is not designed to be able to be hit on the side. It's designed to be hit on the inside. Think about it, right? The rocket engine isn't designed to have a force affecting it on the outside. It's designed to have an explosion or a fast fire inside pushing out on it. It's only strong from the inside. It's only strong from the inside out, not from the outside in. Yeah, rocket, they're that precision engineered. They're engineered to be strong enough to be able to handle the blast of a rocket of exhaust gases coming out the bottom, right? But they're not structural. You couldn't land the rocket on the nozzles. I can think of several reasons why you wouldn't want to do that other than structure, but that's aside from the point. This stuff is like, it's strong when it has an explosion inside of it, but it's pretty weak if it's just sitting there. It's like tinfoil, man. Not tinfoil. I would say, like, you ever use tin snips? You ever use tin snips to cut through metal? Like, about that strong? Probably a little less. I mean, it's Inco. It's Inconel, which is an aerospace alloy. So it's pretty strong. But it's very thin, so it can only be so strong. Inco with copper, and copper is actually very malleable. Copper is like butter. Exactly, Q. It's designed to hold pressure, like a soda can. Exactly. Also, Fago Red, baby. I was in Michigan. Of course I'm going to buy Fago. What are you, nuts?
Discovery, go at throttle up.
No, it's the material that's painted onto the drone ship. It's radar reflective, like, and Falcon 9 has a downward-facing radar, and that's what it uses to home in on the drone ship. Maslam, 76-month resub. Hopefully there's no fallout from pressing this button. Yeah, all of these didn't have a good day. Look in between the engines. The engines on the other side got messed up. All right. Ah! Oh no! Who took these pictures? Is this Mike Seeley? Yeah. Mike Seeley is We Report Space. Oh no. Oh. Yeah, Revel, for sure. Oof. Yeah, this is... I think all those engines are not good. There's Mike's trademark right there. Yeah, those are... Yeah, I would be taking this whole sucker would be coming apart. Yeah. SpaceX needs to call AAA. Savage. Yeah, that's yeah, all the engines are not doing well. What's Mike's other photos? You got anything? I like your optimism, but I say it's totaled. Yeah, but Kyron, you're thinking about it like an automobile. It's not an automobile. It's a $40 million first stage. Rebuild the stupid thing. You're telling me that you did $40 million worth of damage there? Not a chance in hell, dude. No way. You did probably about $5 to $10 million in damage, right? But if your car is worth 10 G's and you need a new transmission and it's $2,500 and the car's worth 10, yeah, put a new transmission in it. It's a $40 freaking million first stage. There ain't $40 million worth of damage there, dude. Am I right or am I right? How long do you think a complete Octaweb replacement costs? Asking for a friend. I would a month, probably a month. Still in better shape than the second stage. I mean, you are not wrong. that is not a false statement. Oh, that's... I don't forge that. I'm not going to read that. I suppose if the other functioning components of the engines are intact, then it'd be worth it. But if the turbopumps are jacked too, well, the turbopumps, then see, that's what I mean, SKS. The nozzles are weak. They're not really designed to like hold anything up except themselves, right? And the nozzle is connected to the throat. Throat's connected to the combustion chamber. Combustion chamber is connected to the gimbal, connected to the thrust plate on the Merlin. It's connected to the gimbal on the thrust plate. So, here, let me find that picture. Where did I put it? I don't have it. I think I X'd out of it. What I'm trying to tell you is that if the engine had pressure put on it like that, like this, it would most likely bend the thrust plate and not the turbopumps. Turbopumps are just attached to the side of the rocket engine. But all the Merlins are all mounted on a thrust plate. Here, I'll show you, dude. I already showed it, but I'll show it again. If you look at a Merlin 1D just sitting by itself, check it out. See? It's on a big thrust plate. The turbo pump, all the wiring, all the plumbing, even the gimbal is all mounted on this plate. And this plate gets installed in the OctaWeb, right? And there's the vacuum engine. The vacuum engine has a different plate because it's designed to go centered on the back of the second stage, right? That engine doesn't have the nozzle on it, by the way, because it's an upper stage engine. This one has the nozzle put in, the nozzle attached to it. See what I mean? So you have nozzle, throat, main combustion chamber, main injector plate right there, and then on top of the injector plate you have a gimbal actuator. If force is applied here, it's not going to screw up the turbo pump. $40 million first stage. That's unit cost, C-22. I'm not sure what that entails. SpaceX doesn't tell us that stuff. I don't think that it would bend anything like this, dude. But all components should be tested. I would. I mean, I'm pretty sure SpaceX knows this. If a stupid moron like me can figure this out, I'm pretty sure they already have it figured out. Pretty sure they already know what's wrong and what needs to be replaced, to be honest with you. Falcon is mass produced. It's not like SpaceX search through overpriced replacement parts. Yeah, so Sebby, you replace the parts, keep replacing parts until you stop finding broken stuff, right? And then take the components that you think are broken, go and test them. It's crazy. I'm thinking there was more up and down action while the Octograbber was under it, and it damaged more than we know. But hey, I'm less educated, so it's purely conjecture. Yeah. Thanks, 2020. Yeah, like I said, I would bring that back to the hangar, bring that back to Roberts Road, and take it apart until you stop finding broken stuff. Starship of Theseus. I know it's a Falcon 9. Just wanted a pun. Fair. Look at the leg. It tore through the thing. I have that picture up. Let me see. Oh. What the... Oh, Octograbber went right through that sucker. So, I can tell you pretty reasonably that the leg does need to be replaced. Yeah. Don't ask me how I know. Alright? That's a lot of damage. How about a little more? Yeah, this area... This area... Wow. What in the balls happened to this thing? What happened to this Falcon 9? Jesus, man. What happened? What'd you do? Hey, why didn't you stop for gas? No gas. They only got diesel. Better go to the next station. What'd you do? No, this is all carbon fiber. Tessa, the legs are made out of carbon fiber. I always follow the stream for this deep commentary. So this happened after the landing? Dude, we have pictures of the thing after it landed. It looked okay. It was a little crooked, but it looked all right. But it's definite. Look at the wind. Look at the wind conditions, guys. Look at the spray. You see the storm that's going on? That's what I mean. So, I say, what the heck happened to this thing? But sit here and look at this footage of Falcon 9 on the ground. Look at the wind. Look at the spray, the saltwater spray. This is a freaking thunderstorm out there. Like, look at this. Look at the wind. I didn't notice that last time. Oh, yeah, right, Val? Got to figure out how to land these things in semi-adverse conditions if we want to push rocket technology to be more like airline tech. I think that's why they sent it, Hokie. Seriously. I think that's why they did that. It makes sense. You got to test it at some point. I mean, I didn't really notice how windy it was. I didn't notice how windy it was when this thing landed. I was just pumped that it landed. But, dude, look at that. Look at that headwind. How the hell did this thing land? Look at the freaking wind. That's like 30, 40 mile an hour winds. I think they tried to recover it in the middle of a storm with the Octograbber, and this is what happened. That was the 100th landing. They landed the 100th landing in a damn hurricane. Not a hurricane, but I was saying monsoon before. It's not a monsoon either, but that's pretty bad conditions. You guys want to see what the weather looked like that night? So, this is the weather. There's the Cape. Falcon 9 launches northeast out of the Cape for commercial resupply missions. And the recovery zone is down here. Down here somewhere. Okay. Squall, tropical storm. Weather guy, what would you call this? You clearly got a lot of bands right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bands. I don't think it's a tropical storm though. It could be, what is it, a depression? Not a tropical system, no organization. Pretty strong gale. I mean, see, it's not just the rain, guys. We'd have to look at wind speed. Because wind is what makes the seas rough. It's not just a storm. You can rain at sea. That's no problem. If it's windy. If it's windy, that's what makes rough seas. Just a mass of storms at a glance. I don't think there's anything fancy about this.
Discovery, go at
Hey, Zizep. Merry belated Christmas. Are we ready for New Year's Eve? I am. I mean, judging by this landing footage, dudes, this thing, it is very windy out there. And if it's that windy, you know the seas are rough. Let's see, can we see any waves crashing against the side of the drone ship? Nah. Yeah, without the horizon or seeing any seas or anything, it's hard to tell how rough the water is. How many meters did it move? Zizep, that's where it landed. And that's where it ended up. Dude, no, I think that's what happened. This thing landed in a really bad storm. 3 to 5 meters? No. The drone ship's about the size of a soccer pitch, dude. Football pitch. Look at the dude standing on the barge. No, not 3 to 5 meter sliding on the deck. I think more like 10. Maybe 15 meter. That thing moved around because of the storm. I'm pretty sure. They tried to recover it in the storm and they damaged the booster. That's what happened. I'm pretty sure. You should be able to pull up the NOAA buoy data. TICOM 8 flashbacks. TICOM 8 was just a hard landing, Balksy. But once again, I'll say it once, I'll say it again, just for anybody that needs to see it. Here. We know that Falcon 9 slides around on the deck with no harness in rough seas. Look, this actually isn't even that bad. You could barely see any white caps. But watch the booster. That make you nervous? It should. Oh, God. Okay, stop doing that. Oh. Remember, barges are not nearly as hydrodynamically designed, so they're far more at the mercy of the waves, even with active stabilization. I mean, active stabilization isn't going to stop this, right? They can't gimbal those. They can't gimbal the propellers like this, only like this, right? The way it moves make it look like a cheap plastic toy. Don't screw with the ocean, man. If you don't understand the seas, don't screw with the seas. Because hydraulics. That's the end of the that's the end of the story. The swell wave is not always visible. Yep. Yeah, SKS, I got you. How amazing was the static fire, though? Oh, static fire was choice, man. Yeah, Glid, I know what you mean. I'm like, I don't like this at all. I don't like this at all. Things just... Did they detank SN20? Yeah. That's all. That's all done. Let me... Yeah, 20. Here's the live shot from NSF. The skirts saved the day. There's nothing wrong with skirts. Skirts are cool. That's cool. I felt waves on a submarine. Rough weather can be felt underwater. Well, aren't waves just swirls underwater, and then when they get near shore, the shore, because water is incompressible, just pushes it up, and hence the wave? It's underwater stuff that's going on with waves, correct? I've seen waves move chained down F-18s on the flight deck. Like I said, Bueller, don't screw with hydraulic pressure. Don't mess with the sea. There's a reason why past humans have made gods that were based off of the sea. Because it is truly biblical power. Like, not in a literal sense. Like, I don't blame, like ancient humans when they were sailing around on the oceans and then a tidal wave just, bye-bye. You got slapped by Poseidon, baby. That's pretty close. That's how a tsunami impacts. Yep. Bassmaster, tide goes in, tide goes out. You can't explain that. Sorry. I know it's caused by lunar gravitational perturbations, just in case anybody's watching this for the first time. Please don't kill me. Yeah, no. Respect the water. I mean, did you see it throw that Falcon 9 around? Falcon 9 is not light. And that drone ship is not light. The sea was angry that day. I found the 45th Space Wing weather forecast for CRS. Oh, word. Does it tell about recovery zone conditions? So, launch day, additional risk criteria, booster recovery weather is moderate. And if it had a 24-hour delay, booster recovery weather was high risk. Interesting. Huh. Yeah, that's guys. I believe you. Found a buoy in the region. Only about 20-mile-an-hour winds around that time. Okay. Weather guy. Okay, I have a question then. 20-mile-an-hour winds aren't bad. But how choppy the seas are, we said it's based off of the wind. But that's not, you know what, now that I'm thinking about it, that's not entirely true. If the wind is going in the opposite direction of the tide going out, then the waters will be twice as choppy. 20-mile-an-hour winds will swell the sea like a 40-mile-an-hour wind would. If tide's going out, wind's going in, or vice versa, you're going to get extremely choppy conditions. If it's going against the current, yeah. If the wind's going against the current, the sea will get really bad. If that was moderate, I don't want to know what severe is. What's this a picture of, S? Oh, yeah. Yeah, man. Mm-hmm. Well, I guess that's why RTLS should be king. Well, with Falcon 9, they really pretty much stretched that to its useful limit, dude. It would be better to just make new architecture that RTLS is every time. You know what I'm saying? 25-foot wave sailing in the Gulf of Mexico. Yeah, I know. Dude, one time I was out with Brimo's family on Cape Cod, and the tide was going out and the wind was going in, and the waves were 18 feet tall. I'm with you on that one. It's very weird. It's very weird to see waves just next to you that are taller than the boat. And you're just sitting there going, well, that's a thing. Okay. Here you go. Wave data from that area for the past few days. Oh. Steepness. So we need to look on the 24th. Oh yeah, they were steep. Huh. Yeah. Windy or closer to shore. Wave height seemed around 1 to 2 meters. Okay. Okay. CRS 24 was on the 21st. Oh, okay. Oh. Yeah, see? See? Here's the buoy data from that region. Take a look, fellas. Look at this. This is the NOAA data from the buoy. Thank you, Kyron, by the way. Yeah, that was brand new, Forlorn. Yeah, crazy, huh? So here's the data from that day. And right around 540 is the closest time that we have. The booster launched at 5:07, which means it landed at around 5:15. So that's the closest one we have. And yeah. But what's crazy is look what happens right after that, a couple of hours later. You have extremely, yeah, see? There's a storm. The storm came through. The buoy data confirms that. Well, the time zone is localized to the buoy, I would assume. Nucleotron, we're trying to put together what happened here. So CRS-24, that booster landed, right? And we watched the cast of it land. When it came into port, it looked like this. Now that, you're looking at it, it doesn't look too bad, right? Look at the nozzles. Launch was at 10:07 UTC. All right, I'll have to go back and look. Yeah, we're trying to figure out if a storm. See, the booster landed, right? The booster landed. It landed dead center in the drone ship, and then when the sucker came back, it was sitting on the side of the drone ship, and the nozzles and the landing legs were all screwed up. We're trying to figure out if a storm affected the recovery operations, and I'm pretty sure it did. Here, let's go take a look. 10:07, right? 10:07 would have been GMT, so there's 9:40, 10:40, and 11:40, guys. Very steep waves. Let's take a look. What? So wave height, WVHT is here. What are we looking at? 2.6 meter. Is it in meters? Yeah, it is in meters. 2.6 meter waves, 2.5, 2.3. That's 7 foot. No, that's 7, 8 foot swells. Is that a lot? I don't know. Any sailors? You tell me. Is 7, 8 foot swells bad? It doesn't seem very bad. I've seen 18 feet myself. Forlorn wind speed was 20 mile an hour. 20 mile an hour wind speed, rain, light rain with 8-foot swells. If they were underway, couldn't they use the stabilizers? I suppose. The buoy further out measured 2.3 meter waves, peaking up to 8.3 meters. 8.3 meters, C22? 8.3. That's a 30-foot wave. Houston, what's up, man? Holy crap. Dude, the localized buoy data says only 8-foot swells. But we know that there could have been up to a 30-foot wave in the area. Guys, I'm going to say that this thing got hit by one of those waves. That's my guess. The swell is mostly under the surface. What you see is the top. Yep. Like an iceberg, Chief. I got you. Also, don't forget, these data points are pretty sparse. Can't say for sure what happened in between these points. I saw it, S. Yep. Wow. So, we can't say conclusively whether the storm was the problem, but I'm pretty sure the storm was the problem. There were up to 25-foot waves that were in the, not immediate area, but around where Falcon 9 landed. So, it was we know that the nominal range on waves was somewhere between 2 and 8 meters. So, I'm going to go ahead and guess that the stormy conditions probably impeded recovery. And I think that's what I'm going to tell people from now on. You're pretty swell, got him. Thank you. The question is what the buoy is measuring the highs compared to, or the lows compared to the zero line. I think it's comparing them to relative sea level, for real, but I'm not sure. That's a good question. Oh no, my nozzle. It's broken. Yeah. Here, let's, Sawyer, you said you wanted to see the static fire. Well, guys, I want to go ahead and say that was a pretty damn comprehensive space news. What say you? Phil, those other articles I do want to check out, but we'll do that tomorrow. Pretty good. Started off with the SN20 static fire, and then we went from there. Hang on, I'm trying to find the footage of the firing. Give me one moment. I found that space news quite satisfactory. Couldn't join you guys yesterday. Did you have a nice Christmas break? Yeah, of course. It was fine. Sorry to re-ask. Did you cover the James Webb Space Telescope fuel savings stuff? Fuel savings. Last big link. Yeah, I got you. Ooh, math. Wow. Yeah. Don't screw with hydraulics unless you really know what you're doing. What effect would it have on the rocket flight, theoretically, if it were to do a regular flight with all those crumpled cones? Nothing good, Sile. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's right, Pharrell. That's actually a really good question. Yeah. Ariane 5 performs so well that fuel savings should allow for a longer lifespan. Good. That's good. Let me see. Due to the precision of our launch and our first two mid-course corrections, our team has determined that Webb should have enough fuel to allow support of science operations for significantly more than a 10-year science lifetime. Good job, Air and Space. Good job, guys. Magnifique. C'est magnifique! A surprise, to be sure, but a welcome one. I'm not too sure about your ability to launch stuff into a Falcon head. I never said that, Alex. The freaking haters did. Dr. Z must be very happy. Yes, Phil, I will tell you that I am extremely, extremely excited for our European counterparts, and I'm extremely excited to get this deep space telescope up into space and flying. It was a great collaborative effort from around the world. Very good. Yes, Dr. Thomas Zerbilken. Ariane's a good rocket. Not cheap, but it's good. Deadly, I often find that you get what you pay for with rockets. Space Shuttle's more expensive, right? Space Shuttle does a lot more things than a regular rocket, doesn't it? So, you get what you pay for. The only way to bring the costs down is to make a bigger rocket and make a lot of it. Or make a smaller rocket and make a lot of it, a la Soyuz. That's why Soyuz is inexpensive to fly. Arianespace is a medium to heavy duty rocket, depending on what configuration of the fairing and whatnot. And it flies... They launched 12 times this year, so once a month. So, yeah, once again, price is gonna go up, but the capability is good. A la James Webb. Right? I find that it always scales, dude. But I think at the end of the day that SpaceX and Elon is correct. Building a bigger rocket is the right move, and building a lot of a bigger rocket is the even more right move. Trying to see where we had that static fire. Could the Saturn one have carried something like an MPLM in the conic interstage thing? Yes, Pigzig. Not a lot of payload capacity in there, but how do you think they got the adapter for Apollo-Soyuz test project into space? Tell me, Mr. Anderson, what good is a phone call if you can't speak? Hey, human person. Hey, PT, what's going on, man? Yeah, Apollo-Soyuz test project. Where the lunar module would be, they just put the adapter in there. So yeah, it has a trunk. It has a trunk. It's a little bit different than the trunk that Dragon uses, but it's the same idea. Did you watch the new Matrix yet? No, I haven't. I've heard mixed things, Boxy. Some people say it's really, really good. Some people say it's trash. But I'll admit it's like 60% good, 40% trash. More good than bad. So, and that's just from me talking to you guys. It's not like I go around reading subreddits or whatever about this. I don't have time for that. That's just off of what Chad has been saying. Don't bother. Good idea. Bad execution. Shameless cash grab. Lackluster. Oof. Good to see you, brother. Merry Christmas. Hope things are well. Absolutely, man. How's things going up there in the Great White North for you, bud? Oh, look at this juicy guy coming in here. Oh. I hope things are great for you, buddy. I'll make sure to send you some Labatt Blue or something. Good story continuity, bad execution. Interesting. Trash IMO. Dang. It's entertaining at the very least. Yeah, Tessa. Okay, yeah, I'll take a look. I'll probably take a look. I don't know. Yeah, I'll watch it. I'll give it a chance. I freaking like The Matrix. It's a good franchise. Those mech suits in the third one, though, that's cool. I want one of those. Was Apollo-Soyuz project the first time that two countries docked in space? Yep. It was a big deal, W. It often gets overshadowed, but Apollo-Soyuz test project was the end of the space race and the start of international cooperation. That paved the way to projects like the ISS and Shuttle Mir before that. Yeah, no, that Apollo-Soyuz test project is a big deal. Think about how ridiculous it would be having NASA astronauts dock to the Chinese space station right now. Think about how ridiculous that would be. If that happened, everyone would be like, oh my God, really? That's what Apollo-Soyuz test project was. That was a big deal for the time. That was a big deal. Like, Yeah. Oh, yeah. Very significant moment. This is the way. Lifting cap is up and headed to the interstage. Yep, yep. Yeah, that's not happening anytime soon, yeah, Captain, and that's why, well, the U.S. and the Soviet Union didn't exactly like each other in the 70s or the 60s for that matter, so that's why it was a big deal. It would be cool to do a project like that nowadays. App State, I kicked the turbo on the truck. You kicked the turbo. I kicked in my turbo passing a truck yesterday on Interstate 40, and my accelerator got stuck to the floored position on my WeatherTech floor mat. Felt like I was riding a psychotic horse through a barn fire. That's a little scary. It's interesting. Won't get into it, but I actually had a white Christmas here, which is unusual for the city despite the rest of the country. Oh well, you know. I hope, despite all the shortcomings, guy, you have a good Christmas. I hope next year's better than this year. You minty bastard. It's good to see you, man. Also, Kennedy wanted a combined moon project. Can you imagine Soviet USA flag on the moon? That'd be pretty cool, Bauxy. Dude, I don't give a frick who wants to launch people further into space. I really don't care. If the U.S. and China, stop being jizz about things, maybe, dude, I'd go to the moon with them, sure. I'd rather do it with the Russians because we have history with them. We've worked together on stuff in the past. It'd be easier. I'd rather do that, but it doesn't seem to be how stuff is going. If only it was that freaking simple. Guys, the funny thing about space flight is that, you know the old saying, the enemy of my enemy is my friend? Spaceflight doesn't care. The vacuum of space doesn't care if you fly a red flag with a hammer and sickle on it or a red, white, and blue flag with stars and stripes. Space will kill you pretty much indiscriminately. Enemy of my enemy is my friend. So that's why we cooperate in space, because space is trying to kill you at all times. Yeah. Watch The Martian. The Martian is probably, or read the book. Read the book. The Martian, the movie, and the book. Book is better, always. Is probably the best example of why space is always trying to kill you. Yeah. That's why international cooperation's easier. Yeah, that's probably a better way to do that. Space does not care what flag you fly. It does not care what your spacesuit's made out of. If it doesn't work, you die. Simple as that. How about the Boovie or the Mook? Well, those are good too. That newer one with Matt Damon, read the book, Kane. The movie's good, but the book is awesome. The book goes into the mathematics and stuff. Like, it's actually pretty cool, because with the book, you have time to explain the mathematics. With a film, you don't. You can't convey that bandwidth of information in a 2.5-hour movie. Matt Damon. If you fly a white flag, though, the French flag, space might spare you. Maybe. It won't. It won't. No! Now! Hey! What? Alex, you should keep flying that red, white, and blue flag. Flying the white flag last time you did that, it didn't work. Bad idea. Y'accuse! No! Qu'est-ce que c'est ça? No! To be fair, a flag on the moon is probably white now. Yeah, but the descent stage that's next to it says United States on it, Bob, so whatever. It's fine. You're the one who proposed it, you pillock! Yeah, it's like Australia. Why do you rocket science? Why do you think Australians are so nice? It's just Australia, the nicest people around. Hey, mate, I'm just gonna go wrestle some kangaroo. You know why they're so nice? They're so nice to people because the place where they live in is godforsaken and everything is trying to kill you. All right? Why do you think they're humans? Oh, they're human, not trying to kill me. Let's be nice to them. See, it makes sense. Makes sense. How was it? How was what, Blackness? Space is nearly as dangerous as Finland in 1995. Agreed. The French flag is the same as the Dutch flag, but rotated 90 degrees. So who copied who? So where does the Russian flag fit into this? Yeah, Deepic, that's cool. Yeah, it's pretty rad. Static Fire? Static Fire looked good. Yeah, everything was good. Yep. Matt Damon! Alright, guys. It's 3:45. That was a 4-hour space news. Well, I started at 1, so it was a 3-hour space news segment. What are the French gonna do? Get up there to fight you? With what crew vehicle? Oh, now those are your words, not mine. Ooh. Do steering wheels still lock up if ignition is turned off while moving? Depends on the car. All right, Phil. Those other articles about blue and Japan. I want to look into it. Look into it. Let's look into it. Wait, what were the two countries that had the same flag and only found out when they got displayed together at the Olympics? Denmark and Slovakia? And Slovakia and Denmark. Those are countries. It's just like the U.S. state Massachusetts and Mississippi and Alaska and Alabama. Pennsylvania. Yep. Mm-hmm. Americans love their red, white, and blue, just like their daddy to French in the UK. Yeah. We had a little bit of a rebellious phase, midget, though. That's the thing. Maybe our daddy, but we had a little bit of a rebellious phase. Turned out for the better. At least I think. Missouri. Yeah. Calisoda. Oh, yeah, Calisoda. Yeah, oh, yeah, absolutely. This is your city? Wow, you have a key to the city. Nice. Teen anger phase is almost over. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Anyway, guys, I'm going to take a break, and then we're going to jump into some Hearts of Iron. We'll play Hearts of Iron until 8, and then we will play Cities after that. Finish up the night with Cities. We got our revenge. We gave you TV, and look at you now. I mean, we give you the airplane. And look at you. Oh, wait, you don't have any because you bought all of ours. And on that note, I'll be right back.